Cool. All right, so let's get into it then.
Let's do it.
My guy Austin, what's going on, man?
Yes, sir. Nothing much, bro. Feeling blessed. Happy to be here, man.
Yeah. How was your weekend? Holiday weekend, all that?
It was good. Family. Worked out my little nephew. He's playing basketball, trying to make the fourth grade team. Just some good eats and some chilling out. How about you, man?
I didn't really do much, man, for real, because the weather was kind of like hit or miss over here. It was raining, and then it would get sunny and rain, get sunny. Family had kind of talked about doing something. They was all basically relying on me to put it together.
Yeah.
Man, I ain't really the guy. Usually my wife does all that.
Sure.
And she really wasn't feeling it, being super pregnant.
Super pregnant. It's about to happen, man.
Yeah.
Excited for you guys.
So it just didn't really go down. But at the same time, I mean, it was still a cool weekend, chill weekend and stuff.
Yeah.
But did you play ball too? Did you play basketball too?
Yeah, I played. I played in high school for Livingston Kilbourne. And then I played D2 basketball at Ohio Valley University. It's actually in it's actually in Parkersburg, West Virginia.
Gotcha.
So definitely a culture shock going down there. Yeah.
I just went through there the other day, man, and I was coming back. I went and bought my wife a car out of state that I
saw that.
Yeah, I caught it for a deal, man. I caught it for a crazy deal. So I fly for free because I work for an airline.
Oh, that's awesome.
So like it was just take the flight, go see if it's a good deal. If it is, pay the money and bring it back. And it was a crazy good deal. I got it for the low. But I was driving back, man. It was crazy. Stopping in West Virginia. And I've stopped in there a couple times on other trips and got food and stuff. I've always been disappointed with the food every time. I ate which of course it doesn't make sense. Like the one time I went there, we got Mexican. And I'm like, you probably shouldn't get Mexican food.
Nah, that's not their forte.
In West Virginia.
They got a lot of Mexican restaurants, so it's random.
Yeah, and it was just like, a plate of grease is all it really was.
For sure.
And then this last time I got a barbecue joint. And still, it was like, oh, man, it would just taste like it was old or just been sitting or something. I told the one dude, he was asking me about, I was like, man, it's pretty hard to mess up ribs a lot of the time. I was like, but man, these ribs taste like somebody cooked them on a wet dog or something. I was like, I couldn't do it.
Man, it's tough. Everything's tough out there. I mean, I will say the one thing about West Virginians love West Virginia. You cannot say anything bad about West Virginia. Ohioans, we mess with Ohio. They love West Virginia. So
okay, like
they got a lot of pride.
The messed up thing was, and I hate to even shine light, but I'm not shining light on anybody's name or any person like that, whatever. But man, I seen the racist stuff, just like stopping at I stopped at a Kroger to grab some stuff, and as I'm pulling in, I see this dude like basically trying to hop out of his car while his wife's driving and stuff, and I'm like, what's going on? I thought they was just arguing and stuff.
Yeah.
This is real big, overweight white dude, and he's just yapping and stuff. I just hear him going on, but I couldn't really tell what he's saying. And as I get more and more in my parking space, I was scared too because I was in the new car, but they looked like they was about to run into me because the wife is arguing with him and stuff.
Yeah.
And they go to pull past me, and I'm pulling in the spot or whatever. So I start to hear him more clearly. And he starts throwing out the N-word at like three or four dudes that are walking into the front, and I'm like, it's man, crazy, like bro. That's the thing that really hit me. Like, oh yeah, this is West Virginia. Yeah. I'm.
It's real when you get down there. Like, our whole basketball team was inner city guys from Detroit, Florida. I'm talking inner city, Baltimore. So we're like pretty much the only black people in the school. And we're like the only black people in Parkersburg. So when we went places, like we had to stick together because, you go to certain bars or certain different places and you're not going to be well received. You're going to see the Confederate flags flying. But, it just shows you that different places, they rock differently. But there was also a lot of love. So I would say it's not everybody down there wasn't like that. There is a lot of Southern hospitality too, So,
right.
So
I was in the area. What's the area where the West Virginia University is?
Yeah, Morgantown.
That's where I was at, in the spot that I stopped at. Was like, you could tell I was really like in the sticks or like in the mountains to a degree. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I was just like, oh yeah, these are people that are just stuck in their ways that live in these backwoods.
Yeah,
and
they have no idea.
Yeah.
Normally the people I met like that, there was people at our school that were like that were pretty much openly racist. They had never had a conversation with a black person ever. They have never been friends with somebody black. They're just going off of what their parents and what their parents' parents did and what they see on TV. So they had no idea, so.
I love this conversation, man, because that's something that me and a close friend of mine have talked a lot about. And that's something I think a lot of people don't really know. And to me, of course, I'm not saying it gives anybody kind of any leeway at all or any understanding for them being like that. But a lot of times it's so weird when you hear that from someone. It shows you their ignorance to a degree too. And it's not even ignorance like, oh, they're just stupid, but they're ignorant to the fact that they've never even met someone or interacted with someone, and to say they hate them and like you said, it's weird that in a lot of ways it seems like that's kind of a majority of the people that are like that is because it's people that either have never met someone of the particular race that they hate, or maybe 1, 2, 3 people here and there or something, or just a bad situation with somebody. It's like, you don't even know to say you don't like these people. You know what I mean?
Or they watch some reality show on TV or watch some music video or something. Like, we not all like that, you know? So it's you just have to change your perspective. You know, everybody comes from a different background, different set of beliefs and morals. And I think what helped out there was, like, that helped me bridge the gap between people. So, like, from obviously African-American family, suburb, school in Worthington, Kilbourne, and then very country. So I have a super diverse background because of that. So it's cool. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I think that's something that plays a good factor in a lot of people, like in creating dope people that I'm always interested to meet or talk to or whatever. It's like how much you've traveled or how much you've got to experience different ways of life. Because like we're saying, it makes you ignorant to a lot of stuff when you don't, you know what I mean, when you don't experience it, and then you kind of, it's not as interesting as a person. So I'm real glad to get you on, especially because you were interesting to me from the jump, because I think the very first thing I saw from you, I think it was a video clip, like right off the jump was the first thing I seen where somebody had tagged you or something, and I just happened to go to your page at that time, and it was a post of you training a bunch of people at the time. Yeah. And I don't know, it might have been like Hoover Dam parking lot or something like that. But the thing that I noticed right off the bat was like you kicking the empowering stuff to them. You know what I mean? And like, and so you had like, I think it was mostly women or maybe all women in this class, but I seen you kind of like telling them like, you are not your past and this and that and stuff. And I was like, man, I love seeing that stuff so much because there's a lot of people that hold on to a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? And that are damaged over things that have happened, whether it be with parents, whether it be with a bad relationship, stuff like that. And it seems like women, especially, not to say like men aren't too, but it seems like some of that type of stuff, some of the emotional stuff hits the women a little bit harder. You know what I mean? I think that's not saying anything crazy to say that. Yeah. But with that being the case, the fact that you were like trying to change the narrative for the women, you know what I mean? And trying to boost them up and tell them like, hey, you don't have to be that same person. You don't have to think that same way. You know what I mean? You are better than this. You are strong. I was like, man, I love this because it's like an extra. It's an extra that you were given with the training, you know what I mean? And with helping them change their lives and change who they are physically, you're changing them mentally and emotionally too. Like they're not going to get that everywhere. They're not going to get that from every trainer.
Exactly. And I appreciate you pointing that out. I just saw the quote that said, sometimes the weight you need to lose isn't in your body. You feel me? So we're a holistic fitness brand. So we're not just focused on you looking good. Obviously, you know, the transformations have been crazy. You know, and a lot of people are making great progress. But if you're not right mentally and even spiritually, then you're not healthy. So the positive affirmations is something that we started doing. I actually got it from my mom. My mom, when I was a little kid, I forgot. But before I would go to elementary school, she would get me right before I got on the bus. And she would be like, all right, repeat after me. And I was like 7, 8. I'm like, oh, Mom, I don't want to do this. But she was like, I'm a winner, not a loser. Now I have to repeat it. I'm a winner, not a loser. I'm the head, not the tail. I'm like, I'm the head. You know, I'm just ready to go to school, play with my friends. But she did that so much that it stuck with me. So, like, we'll have a crazy hard workout. At the end of the workout, we do the positive affirmations. And, like, people are in tears sometimes, you know what I mean? People come up after the workouts and say, yo, I really appreciate that. I really need it. And for me, it's just a part of the routine. But for those people, like, it really can be life-changing. I believe the power of life and death is in the power of the tongue. You know what I mean? So if you speak things over your life, I believe they can manifest and come true.
Yeah, that came up on the very first podcast with my good friend that I grew up with, Josh Waters here. Dude. He brought that up and talked about the power of the tongue and all that. And we got deep into that. And I told him, like, it was weird how different places I had heard it and the way I kind of like infused it into my life wasn't really directly from faith when I heard it. Yeah. Even though like my mom is big in faith and other people in my family, but that's not really where I heard it and where I brought it in. But I started noticing like right off the bat, like, oh, this is real. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people, I think when you say that, they always think like that's like some kind of magic woo woo.
Exactly.
Like that's you're talking craziness, but it's like, no, you don't understand. Like that in a lot of ways I've heard people explain it as far as like how your body kind of follows the mind and your mind follows what you speak. You know 100%. What I mean? So what you speak and what you talk about, I mean, really like leads the way for you.
Leads the way for you. The Bible also says faith without works is dead. So there's a lot of people who only do positive affirmations. I'm gonna be a millionaire, and they sit on the couch. You know what I mean? But you gotta put some work in. You set it out in the atmosphere, and I believe like God kind of orders your steps. You know, puts some people in your life. He's not gonna do it for you, but he's gonna give you the resources to get it done. When I was thinking about creating a company, I was like, who am I gonna have help me? He was like, I already gave you those people. You know what I mean? So it's gonna give you a push start, and you'll be able to visualize what you want. But you still got to get that work in.
Yeah,
still got to work.
You don't know how much I like hearing you say that, because, I mean, that was something that I kind of wanted to talk to you about. And I always talk to people about that are, like, on their grind, but also in faith, because there are a lot of people that you hear from that are like, oh, God's got me, or that type of thing. And it's like, yeah, he does. He probably does. But at the same time, that don't mean you can do nothing to help it, or do very little to help it and expect enormous things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm always appreciative when I hear somebody say like, yeah, that's the vibe, or that's the way that he will work for you or whatever. But at the same time, you have to work for yourself too,
100%.
and you have to really want things and have that motivation too. Because I think some people just rely on that, or in a way, maybe even some people use it as like as a crutch or something.
A crutch, for sure. Yeah. There's a lot of, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but there's a lot of broke people in churches who are, I'm going to get my blessing, I'm going to get my miracle, I'm going to get this check in the mail. But like, faith without works is dead. Like, you got to put the work in, because at the end of the day, God's going to be like, my hands are tied. Like, I gave you opportunities. I put people in your life, and you didn't take advantage of it. So yeah, you can't use it as a crutch. You just got to use it as motivation, for real. Right. And I feel like we jumped so far ahead with random stuff too, but I like it because it kind of laid a lot of groundwork. But give people a little bit of idea too, for like my listeners and the people coming to this episode that don't know you yet, basically who you are, like what you classify or title yourself as nowadays. Yeah, so I'm a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor and a motivator, pretty much. The motivator part kind of wasn't forced on, but it just kind of came naturally. My dad's a pastor, so that's where the faith thing comes in. But yeah, I just try to inspire people through my faith and fitness, because that's really what saved my life. When I was in college, I was going through like very severe depression, but there was two things. One, I sought help, which I encourage everybody to do. In what way? I got a counselor. Cool. And he helped me out a whole lot. And then I got in my word, and I hit the gym crazy. And that was therapy for me. And we've motivated a lot of people mentally just through the gym as well. So, yeah, that's what I am, personal trainer. If you don't mind me asking, or if you want to get into a little bit, what got you in that depression so much in college? Was it being away from home? Was it a combination of a lot of things? A lot of things, man. Insecurity was big. I kind of grew up, this is very transparent, I'm super transparent. I kind of grew up like, in certain instances, I was too black, and in certain instances, I wasn't black enough. And I know there's some, people that can relate to that a little bit. So going into college, my whole team was filled with a bunch of inner city kids, right? So I remember I came on my visit, and these are hood dudes. I came in, I had my cardigan on, I had a peacoat, collar pop with the scarf on and everything like that. And I got clowned, like crazy clown. And at first I'm like, yo, I can clown back. So we were going back and forth. But then like eventually, slowly but surely, it kind of like started weighing on me. And just really insecure. I was self-conscious, started rethinking like who I was as a person, who I was as a player, being away from home, being in West Virginia. It was like a bunch of stuff hit me at one time. And it was it's depressing. Oh, yeah, man. I'm playing on words, but yeah. No, I'm sure. And I mean, it's weird because in an off way, I relate a little bit to what you're saying too. Yeah, because like, I know what you mean. So I'm a white dude that grew up in the hood, like not in a crazy hood or nothing, but I grew up on a hilltop and grew up in bad areas at times and stuff like that. And I had kind of the same situation at times. It's not the same because I feel like you guys get a worse outcome, or but you get judged too. Yeah, but I got a lot of the same type of stuff, like you said. Basically, that just really clicked with me, or made sense for you to say. In some situation, so like for me, in some situation, I wasn't white enough. Yeah. You know what I mean? And other situation, I was too white. Exactly. You know what I mean? So I get that, and like a lot of people think like that ain't really a thing, or I shouldn't even say it, but that isn't a thing, and like. For even me to go play ball somewhere or something like that, and someone's like, oh yeah, who's picking the white boy? Oh, the white boy ain't playing, or this and that. You know what I mean? Yeah. That happens, and
with me, it was always like, that was never something that I felt like I needed any pity for or any type of felt like wanted any sympathy for at all.
Accepted it.
Yeah, you just accepted it. It is what it is. And to me, I was always like, oh, I'm gonna show when I get on the court, I'm gonna show you why I should be playing or why I deserve that.
Chip
at least.
on your shoulder.
Yeah. So stuff like that. But it just that really related to me. So I get what you're saying. And then in that time period too of like when you're trying to become an adult, you know what I mean? And so that's where that makes a lot of sense to me too, for you to say like multiple things kind of hit you and having some insecurity and stuff, because then you're like
trying to discover who you really are.
Yeah.
Sure.
And in a ways, it makes me glad a little bit that like I didn't do the college thing or something at that time, because I was kind of in a similar place with like not really knowing what route was for me. And I mean, I still don't. Like I tell people that all the time. I'm 33 years old now, and I'm like, I don't have it figured out. Anybody who tells you they
continues, do. Bro. We never stop.
It's an everyday struggle, man. It's an everyday struggle of trying to figure out what's next or how you're gonna move. But for you to say that, it just makes a lot of sense. For that's kind of like an awkward time, similar to like how high school is and stuff.
Yeah.
But at least in high school, you were kind of around people like you said that you've known, you grew up around, stuff like that, and then you get kind of dropped in this area where you don't know many people,
for sure.
And then there's a lot of people that totally just don't agree with you from the jump, just on the way you look and all that. And then at the same time, some people that you expect to be on your team, at the same time, that ain't the case either.
True.
So you start feeling really alone and all that. And I get that. And I think it's good that you said right off the bat, and that's why I try to ask you too, of what was the help you got or whatever. Because I think sometimes it's becoming more and more common now for people to talk about it and let it out and say like, oh yeah, like I needed this or I was in this kind of state or whatever. But I think as much as we can talk about it as possible, to tell people like when you get in those tough times, like you got to talk to somebody. You got to. And sometimes, it can't just be a friend or a family member or whoever. Like it doesn't have to be you paying to go get somebody to talk to or whatever. But at the same time, just that sometimes that outside voice is what you really need to hear.
Big, especially with somebody with experience. If they've been through it or if they've helped people through it, they know what they're talking about.
I like that second part that you threw in there, because a lot of people sometimes don't think like, oh, if you ain't been through what I've been through, if you ain't came up where I came up, that's not. And it's like, nah, that's not always the case. Sometimes somebody has dealt with somebody that's came through the same way that you came through.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, with the same situation, and they can tell you like, hey, this worked for this person. Or at least these type of things help in that type of situation. Yeah. So that stuff, I think, like I said, is getting more common and getting more like accepted for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, because hopefully that leads to less depression and less suicide and all that stuff.
Exactly. It's at an all-time rate, man.
Yeah, man. That's the last stuff we want to see. And I know that social media and all that just makes it even harder. I can't imagine like on the kids and stuff nowadays. I think like I said, I'm 33, so like I grew up most of the way without it.
Most of it, yeah.
You know what I mean? So most of the way without it. And now how they say like the kids can't step away to a degree because they go home. And so that's why I always think like, man, I'm going to try to keep my kids like kind of like at a distance a little bit with her and moderate it. You know what I mean? Let them.
It's big, man. And we actually just started. I don't mean to even jump. We just started APFit Juniors. And we do a lot of the positive affirmations with the kids too, because like I know a girl, she's a teenager, and she had like 8 different Instagram accounts, and she would like her own picture on each account. Like the what Instagram and social media is doing to these kids, it's a whole nother level. If it's a whole nother beast. If their picture doesn't get 100 likes, it's like devastating. Like it's a huge status symbol. It's huge. But I think it's really important to educate them on the power of social media too, because some people think social media is the worst thing to ever happen, but it also can be the best thing to ever happen.
For sure.
We wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for social media. I probably wouldn't have a business if it wasn't for social media. So if you can use it in a positive way, then it can be great. But you just have to instruct the kids on like, this is what's really important. Right.
I agree 100%. And I think the reason that we've kind of ran into that situation, especially now, is that I see that a lot of parents use the devices as a babysitter. So
just give them the phone.
Yeah, let me just give you the phone. Let me just give you the tablet, whatever, and take care of yourself, whatever. So they get so attached to it and they're on it so much that it becomes such a big influence to where, like I said, with me, it was like a later influence in my life. It's a little bit, it's like, I know it's a tool. I know I use it for this, or I use it for entertainment, whatever, but it's not like my life, and it's not like a huge part of who I am and all that.
You already have your self-worth pretty much and your self-esteem. Like, you got in it when you were a lot older. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's why I think if the parents can start to realize, man, and start to say, like, I need to make sure that me as a parent and what I'm saying to them and the influence I want to have on them is larger than the influence that they're getting from the social media stuff. And don't get me wrong, all that is hard. And my kid's still young, you know what I mean? So she's not in school yet. And I know how, like, I've heard from a lot of the parents, that's when it really gets tough. And it makes sense because I think back to when I was in middle school, high school, like, we discussed a little bit on another episode on here. It's like, when you're in middle school, high school, it feels like it feels like your friends in school and everything. It feels like that's the world. Like, it feels like that's the whole
world. There's nothing else.
Yeah. Like, it's everything you think about or what's going to affect you or this and that. You think that it's that. You know what I mean? You think it's friends, or it goes to tomorrow at school this, or when I'm doing this, or around these people, or somebody seeing this, or what they're gonna say about this. Yeah. It's like it. And I don't think that's the case for everybody. Maybe some kids are just got it a little bit
just
different.
Cool, you know what I mean? Just cool. There were those kids who were just cool, but you think like everything's the end of the world and everything's like permanent. Like, this is it.
Right. You know for sure. And I think if we can try to do what we can to be a bigger impact and a bigger influence than the devices and the social media and stuff, then that's something that can help that and make a good change in that. You know what I mean? Like you said, and kind of preach to them of telling them that, like, it needs to just be a tool. It needs to be something that's just entertainment, like I said, and things that where they're not so wrapped up in it. Because it's weird even too, like with me having a daughter, I see people saying all this stuff now about like the filtered pictures and things. And it's like girls becoming basically, and I see it out of guys, you probably do too, like they won't even post a picture that's not filtered.
Exactly.
And it's like that hits me a certain way. Like at first I just thought it was weird, and especially all the dudes where I was just like, this is really hitting me a weird way. Like, why?
It's getting weird.
Like,
man.
I can even, like, anyone can tell, especially when they're like super filtered. And it's like, I understand that from time to time, or like you was trying to fix some lighting,
something up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But when you cannot find a picture on somebody's social media, them not with some kind of Snapchat filter or something like that, it's like
pressure.
It's like, what's really going on here? And now they're saying like that a lot of girls and they will not. You know what I mean? And they're afraid to be seen without a ton of makeup or a Snapchat filter.
It's crazy. There's an application that you pay monthly for that a lot of women are having my age and even younger, that like gets rid of all your zits, makes you thicker, gives you some hips, gives you a butt, even if you don't have one, makes your stomach, like they are paying for an application to Photoshop a picture so they can put it on Instagram, so they can seek approval from people that they may not know, that they may not like. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for
so
sure,
it's
man.
a very deep-seated issue, and it's all about self-esteem and self-worth. But yeah, the filters are getting crazy. Like, you're paying to doctor up your own picture so you can appear a different way. Like, people are gonna have to see you in person.
Right.
At the end of the day.
And the place where like it really gets crazy is if they're not doing anything with like a business or with the social.
Yeah.
It's like then it's really
weird because it's just
really,
like,
it's like, what are you really doing it for then, and you're paying for this?
Yeah, validation.
Yeah,
Social media is a validation circle, and that's how they kind of got it with like Facebook. Every time you get a like on something, like you feel good. Like it's like
dopamine. Yeah.
It's like it's a cycle. So all these likes, people, they're having a bad day. Let me post a picture, see if I can feel better. You know what I mean? Let me post this. Now, that validation I get from that will make me feel better in real life, but it's a false sense.
Yeah, and then what happens when that doesn't get the likes and stuff you want and you're already down?
Then it goes worse.
Yeah, and that's been one of the crazy things that I've heard a lot lately is that people really, like, their daily mood and stuff will, like, rely or depend on that. And I'm like, man, I 100% get the good feelings that you get from, like, posting a picture. Or, like, if you get like no likes on a picture, it does feel whack. But
you're like, dang man, y'all ain't messing with my picture.
Yeah, but it don't. But for me, it doesn't make me feel like, oh man, like I'm just down off of that or something. Like it's just like, oh, like it either didn't hit at the right time,
exactly,
or people
people at work,
or people have seen a lot of the same posts that same day, or they're just tired of seeing my posts or anything. I don't try to make up everybody else's mind, and I guess that's something probably that we need to kind of kick to the kids a little bit more too. Is like, don't always think you know what the other person is thinking or their intention on why they do or don't like this or do or don't like you or your picture.
Because you have no idea, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
For sure.
When you're in your own lane, it doesn't matter.
Right. And that brings me back kind of full circle too, because you're saying stuff about people your age doing that. So how old are you, man?
26 years old.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
sir.
yeah, you're not a ton younger than me, but you look super young, man.
Baby face.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, you got the fountain of youth.
I'm trying to get the beard going, but I don't think it's gonna happen for me, man.
It's crazy how like I was like that for a long time too. Mine's coming in a little bit now at like 30 something.
Hey, it's here though. You know what I mean? I'm still praying to God, man. Hopefully, man.
But the weird thing is, man, when you talk to somebody that's got a full one, they're like, "Oh man, I hate this. Like I hate keeping up." Yeah, and they're like, "I hate." So it's just. It's a weird thing too, where we kind of have a little bit of that weird stuff building our childhood, our character too, of want what you don't have.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Everybody has a little bit of that.
Yeah, that's true, man.
But at the same time, man, so tell me a little bit more about your origin and stuff as far as how you grew up, because you told me dad's pastor.
Yeah.
And kind of the schools you went to and stuff, but siblings or like what was your upbringing like?
Yeah, so my dad's a pastor. My whole family was in ministry, so. My brother and sister are twins. They're older than me.
How old?
They are. They're gonna kill me. They're 30. They're about to turn 31. My brother's Eddie. He is he hooped before me, so him and my dad showed me a lot with that. He's a youth pastor in North Carolina right now. Their church, Have Life Church. Shout out Have Life Church. They're dope.
How do you end up in North Carolina? Through playing ball or just?
No, he was just interviewing for jobs, and his best friend Isaiah Templeton, he sings out there. He's a great artist, and so they just linked up. He got the job, so he was looking for different places, so he went out there and got the job. Yeah.
Sorry to pull you off track.
Oh no, you're good. And my sister, Tracy Parker, she helps me with APFit as well. So she's one of my coaches, ride or die. She's kind of like tough. She's probably the toughest out of all of us. You know what I mean? I'm real weird about money. I'm real weird about asking people for things, but she will have that tough conversation. She sends all the booking info out and she negotiates, because I'll do stuff for free. So she's kind of the shark. So she's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's real good, man.
Yeah,
that's
so
good to have somebody on your team like that.
Oh, for sure. So we grew up in Cleveland. When I was 7, we moved to Worthington. So that was a culture shock too, even though I was young. Went to Worthington, Kilbourne. And then went to college from there.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
And like you said, faith is just a big part of the family, right? And it's been a big motivating factor for you.
For sure, a driving force. When you grow up in it, it's just whatever. So I didn't really think much of it until I needed it. Honestly, my dad's a pastor. His dad's a pastor. Pretty sure his dad was a pastor. All of my uncles preach. My uncle Anthony's a pastor at Raymond in Cleveland. Like I said, my brother's a youth pastor, so it's always been in the DNA. And I've always been they're always like, Austin, you gonna preach? I'm like, nah, that's not me. That's the Eddies. That's all them. But I believe what God gave me with APFit, that's my version of, that's my pulpit. Fitness is that's my church. You know what I mean? So although I'm not getting up and directly preaching to people or telling them what to do, I'm just showing my positive light, and that's helping people. So.
Oh, I love that too. So what do you think it is? Because that instantly makes me think of something that I think a lot of people probably think about, and definitely I think about as a parent. So what do you think, if you had to take a shot at it, is the difference between somebody that comes up from a pastor? A lot of times, I don't know if you ever heard the terms PK, pastor's kid, whatever. Yeah, and
it's true.
They want to turn out, you know what I mean?
It's true.
Or go completely the opposite. What do you think it is? What is the difference that maybe in your life or in your sibling's life or whatever that maybe kept y'all from going that route or wanting to be on the right track?
Well, I would say instead of my sister, we all did. Me and my brother definitely wilded out in college, even in high school a little bit. When you're around the church all the time, you see great things, but you also see kind of people's true intentions. My dad was a very graceful man. People would live with us. He would pay people's rent. People would come by the house late at night. He'd be like, yo, give him this envelope. Then for a little bit, I was like, my dad's selling drugs or something. Why am I giving people this money? But he was helping people pay their rent and everything like that. And to see that and see some of those same people talk bad on his name or do something like that, when I knew his character, that makes you see the ugly side of church. And that makes you man, forget this. I kind of want to wild out a little bit. So, it definitely happened in college. And I'm still not perfect now, but I think when you understand that he's the source and and he really gives you power to do a lot of things, you really get back on track. Because I really believe, like, whether it's the Bible or whether it's anything, if you put something in your kid's head when they're young, they're not going to forget that. You know what I mean? So they set a great example. So I'm glad that I was able to come back, you know, and not wild out anymore. So
Right, for sure. So basically the foundation is
absolutely.
a big one. It makes a lot of sense. We've talked a lot about that too, because I'm not somebody that's big into faith or has followed in any way.
Yeah.
But my morals and a lot of that come from my mom taking me to church and teaching me the ways when I was a kid. And I heard it explained really well, like that one time too, of like, even your people that may claim to be atheist or any of those type of things, if they do kind of have a lot of the right values, stuff like that, it usually is rooted in some kind of faith or some kind of religion that has built those things in them before they decided to go down their own path of saying like, I don't think that type of way. And it a lot of times makes me like, like even if I don't go to church, it's like I want to take my kids or have them in Sunday school or have them do something that kind of gives them that influence, because there is so much in it, regardless whether you agree with it or not, or you follow a different religion or anything. A lot of times in most of your bigger religion, and especially from what I've seen in Christianity and things like that, is the right things are put forward. You know what I mean?
General principles of just like, at the end of the day, love your neighbor, love God, love yourself. You know what I mean? Those are general principles that can help anybody. You know what I mean? So even when we do our positive affirmations, I'm not like, we're a faith and fitness brand, but there's people who don't believe in God who come. So I don't ever preach to people, you know, but there's general, like you said, things that can help you through life. And it's just showing love and being loving. Christianity sometimes gets a knock because a lot of people are judgmental. And those people have gone away from what the Bible really is about, and that's loving everybody regardless.
It makes sense. And I even see, like, through you and other people that kind of do this, I think when you come to them with the positive things or the things that will help their lives first, as opposed to, at least that's the vibe I get from you, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And as opposed to the people that come straight to, are you right with Jesus or this and that? Yeah, you know what I mean? To give them some real tools first that might help their mental, help their emotional, you know what I mean? Or help their life. And then maybe bring in where it comes from in you or where you learned it or where it originates in. Probably is a lot more easy for them to accept that way.
Yeah, they'll ask about it. Like some people like, yo, what makes you different, or why do you believe that way? And a lot of people, like, I speak it out loud so a lot of people know, but they'll start asking you little things about it. Or some of my teammates started asking me for prayer in different situations, or, you know, things like that. So I think your life speaks at the end of the day, like regardless of what you do or what you say. Like my dad was just talking about street preachers. You know, have you heard of a street preacher, like telling people they're going to hell and stuff like that? He was like, that's not anywhere in the Bible. It's supposed to help people get to heaven. You know what I mean? We're not bashing people or judging people at all, you know, so.
Yeah. Oh, it makes a ton of sense, man, because that's a lot of what I think has turned me off to it at times, and has turned other people off too, because it's like when you hear some of the real root values of it, you're like, oh, it's kind of like based in love and that type of, like you said, loving your neighbor. And I don't know if people take that too literally or whatever, but in a lot of ways it just means like loving everybody. Like humans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but then when you hear somebody or see somebody, like I used to always see them down at like Red, White, and Boom or something with the signs, or at big events, and just telling, you know, I mean, who's going to hell and all this and that.
Exactly.
And that was always a little odd to me. And then definitely, like you said too, I think a lot of people that are either raised in the church or raised in faith a lot, it is tough when you get to become an adult or a young adult and you start to see some of the people that you feel like either preach the word really hard or that are in church really hard or whatever, but aren't really living it. You know what I mean?
That
it hits you a certain way, right?
And it made me think about my whole religious background in terms of that.
Yeah, because
like,
when you're a kid, you don't know.
When you're young, you're like, oh, these people are high and mighty. Like, he's up preaching, he's up singing, so they're like perfect. I want to be like them. Then you start hearing that dirt and that gossip, and you're just like, yo, is anybody actually doing this? But at the end of the day, like, people are human.
Yeah, for sure.
Nobody's perfect, and only the God we serve is perfect. But like, no, we go to church. I go to church because I need it, not because I'm perfect. You know what I mean? It's a hospital. It's filled with sick people. You know, not perfect people. So
I like that. I like that. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I like that you said that the fitness and what you're doing and stuff. A lot of ways is your church and things like that. I think a lot of people. I always preach it on here, and I'll say it as many times as I can to get it out to people, just so if one new person hears it every time, I'm like, that's perfectly cool with me. What it does for your mental and emotional working out, man, I think a lot of people underestimate it, and they kind of think about it the same way like we were talking about with like the power of the tongue thing and stuff. When somebody tells you like, no, like you don't have energy, start working out, you'll have more energy. And they're like, and they always do, because I did this at first too. Like I thought like, that doesn't make sense. Like I'm tired, I'm gonna go tire myself out.
Yeah.
I'm going to be more tired. Like, how am I have more energy? Things like that. But then you start hearing nowadays with the information that's really out there and the stuff you can get in podcasts, whether it be from doctors or researchers, scientists, whatever, where it's like, no, there's all these things chemically that happen in the body, in the mind.
That
like,
are released once you start
chemicals
moving.
Released in the mind, everything that really, like you said, and I like that you said just moving, because in a lot of ways it's just moving. A lot of people don't know that. Like, we talked about it not too long ago on here, and I watched a little bit of a short podcast with some people. I think they were from Cleveland Clinic. I'm pretty sure it was Cleveland Clinic.
Dope.
And it was like 3 or 4 doctors on the panel talking, and they were saying how like the 30 minutes of exercise a day that has like all these positive benefits.
Yeah.
They were saying that one thing that they found through testing and testing people's lab results and all this type of things, whatever, is people were getting the same from 30 minutes total throughout the day as opposed to like a 30-minute session.
Yeah.
So that's when it really hit me, like, like for the people that don't think they have 30 minutes consecutive, or they just really ain't in shape enough to hit it for 30 minutes or whatever the case is, like, you can do 10 minutes here.
All work is
5 minutes here. Yeah. Like, and just over the day, it might actually start making some things better for you.
Exactly.
To me, that's been the most beneficial aspect of working out, is what it really does for your overall body.
For sure. If you're like in a depressed state, your mind is like saying like, I'm depressed, right? So you're going to start carrying yourself depressed. You're going to start going like this, drop your head. You're going to sleep a lot. You're not going to do a lot of the things that you used to. But if you're depressed and you start doing jumping jacks, start doing burpees, go on a walk, your mind was like, wait, I thought we were depressed. You know what I mean? I thought like these aren't signs of a depressed person. So it tricks your mind into thinking like, maybe I'm not depressed. Maybe I'm not so down, because if I was down, I wouldn't be moving. You know what I mean? So it starts there. And that's the big, I love mental transformations more than even just physical, more than the before and after. Obviously, that's why they come. They come for the before and after. So we have to make sure that happens too. But that mental change and being more positive and changing your perspective and, you know, bringing people along with you, that's the biggest impact of working out, I believe.
I understand that totally, because I think the body and all that is going to follow after that. Like we said, you know what I mean? Like your words, your mind follows your words, and your body follows the mind. It's like the stuff that you said that changed and that started happening. Now, like I said, there's science and there's facts behind this. It isn't just you saying that, like trying to talk somebody into it and saying like, oh yeah, if you do this, then this magic happens of you just not depressed anymore. It's like, no, you slowly get little boosts of like serotonin and things like that. So like we always bring it up on here. It's always another thing that I want to tell people as much as possible. Like even just standing with better posture and your shoulders back and stuff like that. And like you said, not having your head down, having your head up, shoulders back, things like that is something that literally boosts serotonin and makes people happier.
Exactly.
And there's small things like that you can start building those steps or that ladder of like get to a better and better place.
Small victories. So like I believe you can't change your body without changing your mind first. Because if anybody knows like a real transformation or really working out, being consistent with that thing, 30% of the time, well maybe 20. 30% of the time I go to the gym, I don't want to be there. Or I'm dragging. I had a long day. We don't always feel like it, but overcoming those mental obstacles and still doing it anyway, that pushes you forward. I think action leads to motivation. A lot of people think like, I have to be motivated to get up and run. I have to be motivated to go to your fitness class. No, you have to go first. And then that action leads to more motivation to do more. Cause you were like, oh, I did this. Like I didn't die. It wasn't that bad. Like I can do more. Like you were saying with the decorating, like, oh, I did this. It wasn't that hard. I just had to get to it. So that action is going to lead to more motivation. And then you're just going to keep climbing.
For sure. It makes me think of two things when you say that. One, that you get that momentum and just that thought process, you know what I mean, of things going in that route. But the other is how you were saying, hold on. I lost train of thought there too. But say it again, because I was...
Action leads to motivation?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was slipping.
So a
big thing that I've always... been big on. I keep a post-it note by my desk that says or whatever is accomplishment is antidepressant. So I heard that one time.
I love it.
So with that, it's like it goes right into what you were saying. Is it's not about I need this accomplishment to feel better or I need to feel a certain way to go do this or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, no, go accomplish something.
Exactly.
And when you're done, and okay, that's the other thing it was making me think of too. The other thing it was making me think of as well is like there's so many times that I've had the same mindset. And I love that you say it. I try to say it and let people know I don't feel like working out all the time.
Yeah.
Like I post my things of saying how like I work out every day. But there's times I don't want to or I feel like trash. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's no way. But the amount of times that I've went when I'm like, there's no way or I'm only going to make it this long or I ain't really going to be able to do much today. Yeah. And once I've started, all that changed. Like, I got this boost or I start feeling a little bit.
Sometimes it takes me a couple sets and then I'm like, all right, let's get it.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just feeling the pump. Sometimes it's just getting that blood flow. Sometimes it's just what it does for your mental. You don't even understand it. It can be
hearing a song that goes crazy and you're like, all right, let's turn it up. You know what I mean? It could be anything, but like, you're not always going to feel like it.
For sure.
You just have to make it a lifestyle and be like, this is me. I go to the gym. Like, this set time, I put in work. You're not always going to feel great, but...
Yeah, and I think a lot of people they underestimate or don't think that they have the time. A lot of times that's one of people's favorite excuses and favorite things to say. And I mean, I think we all have done that. We all done that time. Like, oh, yeah, I didn't have time the other day or I don't have time today or whatever, something. But it's like, you make time for what's important to you.
Exactly.
And you can set a part time. So like, I was always I always talk about this too. I was always working out in the evenings. But then with having my daughter and stuff, I'm like, I want to be a dad. I want to not be going at work all day, come home, go to the gym and either put her in the daycare or she stays here while I'm at the gym and I miss a good chunk of the rest of the day with her, get small amount of time with her. So I'm like, I'm going to just start working out on my lunch break.
Yeah.
So I just plug that in. Yeah. And it's like, especially with all what we've talked about and what people are saying now, how like 30 minutes can do it for you.
All you need, man.
It's like you can get after it. You can, if it really means something to you, you can make it happen.
A lot of people who say that will binge watch a whole series or they'll be they're caught up on Power. They're caught up on every series, but they don't have time for that. And I understand, like, you know, it's later at night, I'm tired, blah, blah, blah. Then most of it is an excuse at the end of the day because I guarantee you people, especially nowadays, spend more than 30 minutes scrolling. You know, if you add up the time, it's definitely.
I think we all do.
Yeah, I get my screen time and I'm embarrassed. Like literally, that's been my biggest goal for the last couple of months. Was to get my screen time down.
To check it and see
it because when they see you that thing, like I'm like, are you, like, I could be a millionaire, bro. Like, I could be doing. So, like, you make time for what you want. And like you said, if you turn that intensity up, 30 minutes is fine.
Right. For sure. And let's turn the clock a little bit back, too, because I don't know if we got directly into it or if you did kind of mention it with saying what fitness did for you while you were away in college and into the depression stuff. But why fitness? Why did you get in? What made you think like, okay, this is the move for me. This is what I want to do for people.
For sure. I was actually thinking about that the other day, like when I first really started loving fitness. So my love was always basketball. Like that was my life. Ball is life. It's real, you know. Like and once ball is life, that's it. But I think the first like instance of fitness other than just loving gym class was like watching the Rocky movies. When I watched the Rocky movies and I saw his physique when I was young, I used to like do push-ups and stuff during the workout scenes and everything like that. And then I just liked lifting. When I got to high school, I just wanted to look good.
Right.
You know, don't we all? But then after that, when I went to college, obviously it was just basketball. It was all basketball. Had a great relationship with the trainer, Jonathan Rodriguez. Shout out to J-Rod. We chopped it up and I fell in love with the gym. What he did for my vertical going from like my sophomore to my junior year was insane. And I was like, yo, I want to be able to help people like that. He just showed me different things with flexibility, box jumps, resistance. And I was like, I love this. So I did a 5th year because I had to. But then I was the assistant strength and conditioning coach for the team that I just got finished playing on. Gotcha. Which was a little weird because they still kind of respected me. But you know what I mean? But I forgot what happened, but I was doing all the 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. workouts for the squad unprepared. Like they ended up liking it, but when I look back at it, I was like, I was
winging it.
Yeah, I was definitely winging it. But yeah, I had a love for it after that. Then when I moved back home, I started training my brother-in-law. I wasn't like a trainer or anything. My degree was in business administration. I took a job at Nationwide because My mom said I should. You know what I mean? So I took a job at Nationwide. I started training him. We trained for maybe 8 or 9 months. He started putting up muscle, dropped a lot of weight, and he was no longer on his diabetes medication. So that was huge. We put those results on Facebook, and people were like, yo, can you train me? Can you train me? At that time, I didn't think I had enough time to get it done. So I was sitting on the couch with my brother and my sister and my brother-in-law at the time. We were like, yo, let's start a boot camp. Like, let's do it. We got the name APFit, Austin Parker Fitness, and we were like, we're going to launch in April. That was 2016. And then we started in my church. You know what I mean? People came out. They loved it. People fell off because at first they came just to support me. Then they were like, oh, I actually have to work out. You know, so some people fell off. But it was great. And we grew it into what it is now just from that. So my brother-in-law was a huge, huge push.
Gotcha. Do you still have a day gig now, or is this your full-time thing?
I still have a day gig. Right. I'm at JP Morgan. I train people in the mornings before work. I even train sometimes during my lunch breaks. I train after work. I get home every night at around 10 p.m., wake up and do it again.
I love it.
Train on Saturdays, train on Sundays after church. Like, it's a grind. You know what I mean? And 2020, we're definitely trying to make that leap of faith, you know, to do it full time.
Yeah, and I don't say it. I hope you're not taking it. I'm not saying it anyway to try to rush you or push you in that direction.
No, not
I'm just more always interested, especially for the viewers and stuff, because I think that's a big part of like the people that I want to watch and listen, pick up things from our
absolutely
from our guest of like, man, there's always that time where that if you are thinking about it, here's somebody that can show you. I mean, they're also doing it. They're also making a way.
Yeah, man. Anybody who's successful and who owns their own business, like, I commend them so much because the amount of time and effort it takes to get there. And I watch a lot of Gary Vee, and he was just like, yo, build your part-time gig while you're doing your full-time gig. You know what I mean? Scale it back a little bit. Don't go on a bunch of vacations. Don't splurge. So that's what I did. And that part-time gig took off to something where I didn't even think I could. You know what I mean? So it's getting to the point where we have like a waiting list for the personal training clients. Like the boot camp, everybody can do Monday and Friday nights. But my time is only so, you know,
right.
limited. So it's almost to that time. But yeah, it takes a lot of work, man.
Right. Have you been getting with some other trainers or other people to kind of map out different ways of how to do that and how to get more from your time and all that?
Absolutely. The Rainies.
Yeah,
absolutely. I saw you had them up here. I love them. They've been a big help, and they're gonna help me even more. And even Eddie from Training Grounds.
Yeah, that's who we just did last week's episode with.
Oh, no way. He's the man, bro.
He's is, man. Genius. He is. Like when he came on here, he had been spitting a little bit of that like business and Gary Vee-ish stuff like on his social. Yeah. But then also when he came on here, it just pours out of me, man. Like,
straight knowledge.
Yeah, man. It's just in there.
Super insightful. Yeah. So, talking to a lot of people who been there, done that. You know what I mean? And I didn't necessarily want to go the route of working at a gym.
Like a box gym.
Yeah, a box gym. And nothing against people who do that, but I kind of wanted, you know, to do my own thing. With our workouts, we switch it up. We do a lot of athletic things and a lot of stuff that I really don't want to be confined to, you know, a gym. I want some space, and I want us to be able to blast our music and have high energy. So
yeah, and how's that been going for you? Because I hear a lot of people that come up through training and they're like, yeah, man, I get kicked out of apartment complex spots and this and that.
So like, there's at least 3 apartment complexes right now that think that I live there. Every gym I go to now, they know me. I just take it over. I just act like it's mine. I don't ever try to be disrespectful of anybody's space or our time, but like, we do a lot of apartment complex gyms, and I play my music. I keep it tasteful, you know, because sometimes it'll get ratchet, and then, you know, a mom will go in there and we'll be like, all right, y'all, let me get the aux now. But yeah, everywhere you can. Like, seriously, apartment complex gyms. And then our boot camp is at, in the summer, we use Barrack Rec. And then the fall, we're at Parkmore Elementary. So we're about to start our fall sessions September 9th.
Gotcha. And how did you plug and get some of those locations, especially like the elementary and things for?
So for the elementary, a guy named Tyshawn Alexander, shout out to him. Just a connect that I grew up with, saw us grinding at church, And the church started being like, man, it's getting a little rowdy in here, a little bit too many people, because we're in the chapel side, like the smaller side. I had to move all the pews. We had to move like 10 pews, heavy wood, just to set up, man, like moving pews.
A workout before the workout.
A workout before the workout, you know what I mean? And then sometimes it'd be me, so I would drag them. I start messing up the bottoms of it. So I'm like, they're like, this dude is in here just. So they didn't really ever kick me out because I was the pastor's son, so they didn't really want to. But, like, I pretty much got that, like, hey.
Yeah, they were throwing those hands.
Yeah, like, yeah, might need to find something else, bro. So she showed love, man. We don't pay on those Monday and Friday nights. I don't even know if I should be saying that, but she blessed us. You know what I mean? So we're in the elementary school, and that opened the door to the APFit juniors because I just did 5 weeks of their summer camp. And we did workouts there, and they loved it. So she was an entire plug. Like, so shout out to Principal Charmaine. Like,
well, and really I think when somebody sees you doing the right things, man, and sees you helping and stuff like that, I don't even think it's that big of a deal. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't know the situation,
yeah.
But to mention
I know
the
what
whole
you mean.
Getting it, because I think it's for a purpose. You know what I mean?
For
They're doing it for a purpose. They're not doing it just because it's like, oh, this is just a hookup, and I don't care, and it's not whatever. It's not like that. You know what I mean? I think they see you, they see the character, they see what you're trying to do, they see what you're doing for people, and now for the kids too. I mean, why not? Why not?
It makes sense.
Want to be involved with something like
that.
So
she can call me for anything, and I'm there.
Right. And that's always something that's dope too, is just to create those connections. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
to get that where if somebody looks out for you, then you think like, yeah, if they hit me up for something or if they need something. Say the word, you know what I mean? I got you for sure. Yeah. Okay, so also give me a little bit too. I see like a majority of the clients I see that I don't know if this is actually the case, but a majority of the clients female?
Yes.
Okay.
Like 97%.
Gotcha. Yeah. I didn't know it was that high or didn't think it was that high. But also, what do you think drives that?
So a lot of dudes have pride in terms
ego
of like
and stuff and want to do their own thing. Yeah,
not even on PT, but like mostly for the boot camp class. It started off with a majority of women, and if guys, even if I saw the class that was 80% women, I'm gonna be like, well, that's a women's class.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a women's class, but it literally is like a women's class. So that's the drive for that, and we're actually trying to start a Saturday morning class for the dudes. It's a struggle, honestly, for me to get that going. I would say between the kids and the women's class, even the modified class that we had, the biggest struggle is getting some guys in there, because I definitely I was training some college basketball players, a guy who played overseas, and I loved it because that's where I'm from. That's my niche. I love being around a team. So even in the future, being like going back to that strength and conditioning might be a move, because I miss the game and I miss the intensity. Our women are intense though. I'm making them into some beasts, but like that intensity of being around a team and fighting hard and just pretty much killing them, you know, and knowing that they can respond, like that's a great feeling. So
yeah, so and I think also too, like when you're working in something specifically that you know a lot, and you put yourself through that same type of training.
I've been in those shoes.
Yeah.
A lot of these women, I've learned so much from them, because I've never been a woman who's overweight, struggles with this and that. Like a woman emailed me a couple months ago, and she was like, hey, this might not be big to you, but I fly for a living like all the time. And normally I have to get the like extended seatbelt. And she was like, since I've been working out with you, like I didn't. And that was a huge victory for me. Like, she was like, I would be embarrassed because they had to like bring it up from the back and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I can never imagine what that is. I haven't been overweight either. You know, I was a skinny kid who started lifting.
Yeah,
so
me too.
A lot of these life experiences that I'm gaining from them has like really changed my perspective on training a lot.
I like that a lot, man, because also it makes me think how, like, even though, like you said, you don't have the experience of being a woman or being overweight, now with the amount of clients that you have came through and that you trained with stuff, now I think people will get to see and definitely do see and know, like, okay, even though he's not the same as me, he actually has put out these results. You know what I mean? He's made it happen, and you have that experience now. I heard some talk about that today on something I was listening to, and they were saying, like, Matter of fact, it was the dude Rory from the Joe Budden podcast. Or whatever.
I like the Joe Budden podcast.
Yeah. They get a little wild, but at the same time, like it's entertaining from time to time.
Sure.
I like switching it around with podcasts, man. Sure. Like I'll listen to one hardcore for a little while, then I'll do another one hardcore for a little while. But anyways, he was saying how like he likes experience over like book knowledge any day. Huge. And it was really hitting with me because I'm thinking like, yeah, man, it really is different. And that's why I love the show. That's why I love the people that I bring on here and the people that I talk to, because the things that I talk to you guys about, it's actually what you're doing. It's actually doing. And you've actually started businesses and made them work and things like that, whatever. And I think that's where the viewers can get some value off of that. You know what I mean? That's where the main value is hearing someone that's actually done it, that actually can tell you it goes like this, instead of just going to school and drawing up a business plan and doing that part of it. Like, I'm sure that part helps in some people's cases, but I've also heard other people say, like, he also said in the same, basically, couple sentences, like he had a marketing class and didn't learn anything about marketing.
I have a business administration degree, a bachelor's, and I had no idea what I was doing when I started my business. Like, nothing. Like, no knock against any business school, but especially if people want to be entrepreneurs, it's a whole different ball game. Like, you don't know until you have your feet on the ground and you're grinding, and you gotta figure out your accounting. You have to figure out how you're gonna market yourself. You have to figure out a space and a time and getting insurance and getting all this stuff. Like, they don't mention any of that. So you just grinding and doing it, that's the knowledge. Reaching out to people also who have done it is huge.
Even bigger. I love that you say that. Like, Gary Vee has always been a big proponent of that, and saying that. And I always think about that a lot now. Like, man, I need to reach out to more people that do like podcasts or radio or things like that or whatever, and kind of get some of their tips and experience, or just watch them. You know what I mean? Just go watch something they do, or be around them and be involved a little bit more, because that definitely seems like something that not only does it, maybe you get some of those tips or some of those insights, but at the same time, sometimes just seeing it with your own eyes and seeing things done differently, then it makes you think like, oh yeah, I can definitely do that too, or I can move that way too.
Or you can like take a little what they have and then mix it up with what you have, and not having enough and not having too much pride to do so either. Because a lot of people, if they're doing their thing, they have a brand, like they don't want to collaborate or they don't want to get with anybody else because they think that's dimming their light, which is not at all. Like, there's a lot of trainers in Columbus, and we can all eat, because a lot of people are overweight. A lot of people need trainers. Even people who are in shape need trainers. Even trainers need trainers. You know what I mean? So everybody can eat, but I think collaboration really opens your eyes, and you can learn a lot from people.
Yeah, I always say it, man. Like, your generation and even younger, it seems to be that like the collab thing is
big.
Yeah,
it's because LeBron.
Yeah, you think so? You think so?
Maybe. I mean, honestly, in the NBA before, like, nobody was friends, and it's a reason why I hate the NBA now, but I also still kind of like it. But like, everybody was in their silo. Now, I will say, back in the day, people were more competitive and more cutthroat. But in terms of just like life in general, collaboration is definitely the wave with my generation and lower. We still struggle with it, but I like to say we're better together. I really believe that if you do something, he does something, you guys come together and make it great. Like, just like you two, you know what I mean?
For sure. That's exactly what I'm thinking of while you're saying it. I mean, that's exactly how this happened. That's exactly what it made me think of as you're saying it, to think about, like, a lot of times that's just a piece to the puzzle that you need. You know what I mean? That's the thing that gets the snowball rolling, for sure.
Never know.
Gotcha. Also, so I see a decent amount of what you put out on social.
Yeah.
Where do you pick up, or have you gotten ideas, or where do you get your influence from or your thoughts from, as far as like how you handle yourself on social, and like the type of posts or the videos or the things you want to put out as far as like marketing yourself?
Yeah, man. I've kind of always been a social media guy in terms of like from high school. So like, I understood very early how to manipulate social media, starting on Facebook. When I was in like high school, I started just playing around with it. I'm like, oh, people like posts when I say things like this, or people like funny posts, or people like, so I was playing with that, or like, oh, people don't like pictures with this. So I was trying to make myself a brand before I even knew what I was going to do. I just wanted to be like cool and like marketable. And my dad always told me, like, your character at the end of the day is going to be what makes you great, because a lot of people fall and fail because of bad character. So I always kept it clean and like entertaining. But there's definitely a lot of people I watch. I watch a lot of different trainers. I'm drawing a blank in terms of the trainers. I love the Lost Breed. I don't know if you know who they are.
Oh yeah. Their videos have always like I want to get you fired up, man. Get you ready to go run through a wall.
And most any fitness influencer I watch, I like to make it my own though. Like, you know, add a lot of motivation, a lot of fitness, maybe some funny stuff. But just letting people know that we're grinding. Every time you click on it, somebody's doing some work. If it's not me, it's them. Just inspiring people. Put a lot of transformations up because our clients have had a lot of success. And a lot of people, they can see themselves in somebody else. They're like, oh, she used to look like that. Hey, I look like that right now. Maybe I should hit him up because he did that for her. So in terms of my social media, you're going to see my clients way more than me. Just because at the end of the day, I can be fit and I can bench this, I can squat that. But at the end of the day, that's cool. But you care more what I can do with the client. So my aim is always the people because that's why I got into it in the first place.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you had me feeling a certain type of way the other day when I seen you just banging out the muscle ups. I was like, oh, man, like, he's got me feeling bad. Now this is motivation. Now I gotta get on it.
And there's a million people in there who make me feel weak every single day. I think it's a...
well, it's more like motivation too, man.
It is.
Like I get that
it's
quick...
the way you
I get
handle
that.
it.
Yeah. I get that quick little thought of like you said, of almost like feeling weak and feeling like, dang. But then it's like, oh, no, you know what that is? That's next up.
Now let me level up. Exactly. Certain people use it as like low self-esteem or jealousy. But I follow everybody I follow. I was looking at my Instagram. I was like, man, everybody I follow is stronger than me. Like, I was literally thinking that, and I was like, but that's motivation because you turn on their story or see their post and you see them killing it. And you're like, man, let me level up.
Right. And that's got to be a common theme for a lot of people. You know what I mean, in many type of ways, whether it be money, fitness, happiness, whatever. People see it online and think like, yeah, everybody's got it a little bit better than me, or a lot of these people got it better, or everybody in this lane has this better than me.
Yeah.
And it's just something we fall into, but at the same time, like you said, that mindset, man, that's something that's a common theme on this podcast as well. Yeah. And I think a common theme with a lot of the people we've mentioned, you know what I mean? Whether it be Gary Vee, LeBron, whoever, it's like kind of keeping that mindset. And it even a little bit, I think, back to what you said about like, talking about the NBA and just because basketball is something that's close to me too or whatever, it's like you saying like having a love-hate for it now because of the teaming up and getting less competitive. I think overall that is kind of coming along with the mindset that like this is basketball, but I'm still a man. Like there's still life outside of here.
Exactly.
I still go home because I've heard LeBron say that like, okay, I lose tonight. I don't want to lose. It's going to eat me up, whatever. But I still got to go home tonight and be a father to my kids.
And people don't want to hear that because when you think of LeBron, I just want you to score buckets. I just want you to be a shark. I want you to be like Kobe. I want you to have that Mamba mentality and not care about anybody, rip people's hearts out. Because when you think of LeBron, all you think is a basketball player. When LeBron thinks of LeBron, he thinks of a businessman and a husband and a father. You know what I mean? So it's very different. Like people love their athletes who have that Mamba mentality, who are sharks. But at the end of the day, they understand the business end of it. And the money right now is greater than it's ever been. They understand this is generational wealth. This can change my whole family. So we can kill it on the court, but I'm going to make a smart business decision at the same time so I can really bank in and take care of my people.
Right. At the same time of being like a good human being, a good father, a good this and that. I like that. If we lose a little bit of competitiveness to gain some more better humans in the world, I think the positive is the upside there is better. You know what I mean? And I think it's always going to be hard when people come up with like Jordan in the Jordan era or a Kobe era or something like. And don't get me wrong, there's still people now that kind of like Russell Westbrook. Westbrook is a dude that.
He's a dog.
Same type of thing. You get on the court, there's no friends. You know what I mean? Exactly. And even off the court, he still kind of talks a certain way. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure, you can tell.
And I love that too. Like early on, I kind of didn't like that. I was like, oh, this cocky dude, whatever. But then you get to see and you see like different people have different things that make them tick.
Exactly.
So whatever makes them go, they got to do what they got to do.
I think any successful person in general has to have that chip on their shoulder, like that competitive mentality. Not saying like you have to do things spiteful or try to get over on somebody, but if you don't got that dog in you and you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to have a brand, you don't have a little bit of competitive nature, you're not going to win because there's somebody who's grinding while you're chilling. You know what I mean?
And you'll give up when it gets hard.
Exactly. And if it's not your passion, you're going to give up when it gets hard. And if you're not competitive, when you go through some hardships and things like that, you're just going to want to fold. But you have to think about it like, I always think about it like, what would I tell my clients? Because it's like therapy, especially PT sessions. They'll tell me their whole life. And I'm like, what would I tell my client if he told me this? Tell them like, trials only make you quit or propel you to the next level. So it's all about how you handle it. But that competitive mentality got me through college. I wasn't the smartest kid ever, but it got me through college, got me to start a business, and even in my job right now, just because like there's people who are smarter, there's people who are more detail oriented, but I'm gonna work extremely hard because that's the only variable that I can really control.
Yeah, and using it as fuel is I think the big key there. You know what I mean? Use it as fuel as opposed to letting it something that puts you back or has you feeling like, oh man, like
exactly insecure.
Yeah, like you said, and I'm of course I imagine that's tough too, depending on where someone's at in their life, and especially like you said, even like in you going through college and being young, not really figuring things out yet. You gotta take your lumps and your bruises too. But it also makes me think of something too, what you say with the people like pouring their hearts out to you in the sessions and stuff like that too. It's like, I always think about that, like whether it be somebody cutting hair, somebody training, somebody whatever. It's like, man, I can't even imagine some of the things that come out sometimes, and you're just crazy. Like, you just kind of have to look or like sometimes maybe act like you didn't hear something.
Right? And they feel so comfortable, and that's a good thing, but they will tell you their whole life. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then certain things you're like, wow, that's wild. Like,
right.
That's wild. But I feel great that they can feel comfortable with me enough to tell me that stuff, to know that I'm not going to run and gossip or judge them for it.
For sure. Yeah. And I'm glad that it's coming out to someone like you. You know what I mean? I'm glad that it's coming out to someone like you that can either throw a positive spin on it or just hear them out and know that, like, you know what I mean, we've all been through some tough times, or we have all done some crazy things, or had some crazy things happen to us. You know what I mean? Like, we need that connection.
I try to make sure every interaction I have with somebody is a very positive one. And I was at Hoover Dam on Monday. Everybody that walked by, and I always do this at Hoover Dam, anybody who's going up the steps, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like 50% of the people are just like, okay, this dude's a little wild. But then the other 50, like, give me a high five or something like that. I just try to make sure every interaction I have with somebody lifts them up a little bit.
Yeah, it's tough for people to understand sometimes. And also, I think it's tough for a lot of people who want to start something or get into something, whether it be training, whatever, to have that like outspoken voice and be able to talk to people they don't know and things like that. But I think maybe because you come from like a pastor kind of like outgoing, talking to people background, that maybe you feel like that maybe helps a little bit.
A little bit. So I can talk in front of a lot of people and not feel nervous, or I can do a class. We just had a class in Cleveland, Faith and Fitness Tour. We had like 40 plus or something like that in the group workout, and I didn't feel nervous. I felt a whole lot of adrenaline. Like I felt pumped up,
man.
But like I didn't feel nervous. But there's certain social interactions. Like I don't go to parties anymore really, or like a lot of networking events, because like sometimes I get in that social awkward like shell.
Yeah.
But it's something that I still have to break myself out of. So for me, talking to a stranger is just practice, because I'm gonna have to talk to somebody about APFit that I have no idea who they are. And I have to find some common ground with them and be relatable to them. So it's not always super, super easy. Yeah, my dad being in front of people helped me, but it also made me a little insecure because I'm like, I can't speak that well, you know? But I think in business or becoming the brand, you're going to have to get over whatever that insecurity is, because if you can't present yourself in a certain way, people are not going to listen. They're not going to care, and you're not going to be very relevant.
For sure, for sure, man. And I think people need to hear that, because like, I think sometimes people see, even somebody like me who I have a show, this is what I do, I talk. You know what I mean? I'm the same type of way. Like I might talk in a certain situation like this or on camera or whatever and seem like I'm just cool with it and I'm not bothered by it by any means. But I might talk to somebody that's no one special or not whatever, but just certain little one-on-one conversations. Sometimes I just like I notice myself getting hot and I'm like
getting a little sweat.
Yeah.
So like if I'm at work and I'm in the break room and somebody walks in, they give me that whole like, how's your weekend? I'm just like, oh, it was good. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it all depends. But I think we have to break through some of those barriers and insecurities to really market yourself, because if you don't do it, like nobody's gonna know.
For sure. And like I said, I just think it's good for people to hear that and know, like, when they see someone like me or you that talks a lot, like, I think some people assume, like, oh man, they just got that thing, or they can just do that. They can just talk to anyone. It's like, nah, we're just like you, believe it or not. Like, in a lot of situations, we're either forcing it, like we're just pushing it because we want something better for ourselves or whatever, or we're just like trying to be positive or trying to be polite, or like a lot of, a number of different factors, but we still have those same insecurities.
Exactly.
Yeah. But also, so let's get into we've talked a lot about it, but as far as like the religion and faith with the fitness going forward, is that more of like the move, or is it still just like, this is who I am, this is the package I've always brought, or what?
Yeah. So
is it slowly growing in you, or growing on the business?
It's slowly growing. I tried to kind of kick it to the back a little bit, just because, like, if you look right now on Instagram, everybody that's trending is some girl in the beginning of the video showing her butt and then doing some like resistance band squats, and the whole video is just of her butt, right? So we understand what's being sold here, but that video has 2 million views. And the video of some dude doing, a deadlift has like 50. You know what I mean? So I definitely saw that. And I can be transparent enough to say that I attempted to kind of sexualize fitness. But if you go on Instagram, that's what everybody's doing. But I had to check myself and say, like, at the end of the day, like, what do you want to be known for? Results. I want to be known for results. People came to me and I made them have a great transformation physically and mentally. And I always cared about them as a person, showed them positivity. So I tried to kick it to like the back, but then I was like, yo, God's been so great and he's done so much in my life and changed my perspective. Like, I want to kind of help and do my part. So it's definitely an entity of APFit, the Faith and Fitness. So we're actually on a Faith and Fitness tour right now. And we go to different cities, different organizations, different businesses, and we put them through like a fun, interactive workout. We have a lot of games and different things like that. Then we end with positive affirmations, and it's always a good time.
Where did all that come from, or how did you build this? Or
yeah, so like, I was at a concert, and I always equate everything I do to APFit. I'm sure you do the same thing to your podcast. And I was like, yo, that would be dope if I was on stage, like, and people were just like doing squats, doing high knees and stuff like that. I was like, that'd be crazy with like live music. I pitched the idea to my dad. He's a visionary. Like, he's not, super old school or traditional in church. So he gave me the opportunity. So we did it in church. So we had the live band going, playing 2 like tracks, you know what I mean? Like some cool tracks. And people were very like weirded out at first. They didn't like, certain people didn't even come. So I was actually discouraged because they knew it was on the 5th Sunday. So they were like, but it got lit, and it really took off. People were like, yo, when is this? Blah, blah, blah. And a couple of people started asking like, hey, can you come to my organization? Can you come to my church?
Oh, really? So people were reaching out to you?
Yeah, people were like, yo, that's super innovative. Like, our church would love that. So people started reaching out. And then after that, I started reaching out to different churches, still reaching out to different churches like, hey, this is what we provide, and this is how it's going to be great for your congregation. Because I want to show that, like, I'm providing you a service as well, because if your congregation works out, or if your business works out together, they're going to feel a lot closer. There's something about shared suffering and working hard with people. So it kind of just took off like that. And now we're going to be in Cleveland Friday. We've got something coming up in North Carolina, a couple more dates in Columbus. So it's looking up, man. It's like, we're getting booked. My sister's doing all the booking, and it's crazy when you dream something and then it really starts happening. You know what I mean? And I feel a lot of my dreams manifesting just because I put a little bit more work in, started really trusting God. Because he's like, you already have a network. My dad is in charge of a lot of churches. Like, so we already have that network. I know so many pastors, know so many church people. So I was like, it only makes sense for me to use this resource that I have as well. Just same way I use the elementary school and everything like that. But this is a great resource to not only inspire people, but to get them fit. So it went hand in hand. It just made sense. Yeah. And it's fun. It's super fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like seeing like just it still kind of like reminds me of the collab thing because I see you and other people doing it. But it definitely also reminds me of like how people put on like these master classes or do different things where it's like if you can get a couple people that have different type of influences or different impact with because like what are some of the other people like that have been involved in some of your events? What is their specialty or what is their thing?
Yeah, so for the most part, we've been going by ourselves. But the conference we were just at was like a youth pastor. They had like a motivational talk. They had like a marriage and relationship type thing.
That's what I meant.
So there's always a correlation in like either mental health, living better in general, empowerment, anything like that. And then like I even got, some recent speaking engagements for youth and different things like that to go out, which I was definitely apprehensive about. But I mean, I watch Eric Thomas, Les Brown, Gary Vee. I watch these dudes all day and I'm just like, I mean, this is in you, so you can do it. So that's been cool, especially speaking to youth, getting them interactive and moving first because they're not trying to hear you just preach to them, get them answering questions. So I love doing that as well.
That's real cool, man. Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that and seen them. You got the feet moving the whole time on the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
man.
I've heard that before, and that makes a lot of sense. That you got to get that going because also I have to imagine that gets the mind going. You know what I mean? When you get them, that actually gets them thinking better and handling themselves better. You know what I mean?
For sure. A lot of adults, especially in church, when they talk to kids or teachers, they're used to them every day. So they're like, sit down. Don't know who's that. Blah, blah, blah. Yo, we about to have this. We about to have that. And it's like kind of a negative connotation. So when I come up, I try to change the whole game. Like, all right, let's do something fun before I speak because I can already tell y'all not feeling this whole event. You know what I mean? So let's change it up. And I just show them who I am. I'm a big kid at heart anyway, so it's normally a good time.
Yeah, that's dope, man, because it makes me think like, if that's the plan for you, it's going to lead to you being a dope parent, man, because...
for sure. That's a goal, man. You guys are goals, you and your wife, definitely.
I appreciate it, man. We're not perfect. And the same thing, like I'll say, we behind the scenes deal with all the same struggles and the parent struggles that everybody does. My wife definitely be ready to pull her out, dealing with my daughter because she gives her the most.
I'm sure, man.
But at the same time, I try to do a lot of things. Like I loved hearing that at the beginning with you saying how your mom was giving you the affirmations before you were hitting the bus and stuff.
For sure.
And because that definitely wasn't something that I heard a lot of or seen a lot of in my generation and before me.
Yeah.
But I started picking up after that. Like I started seeing a lot more like celebrities. I remember seeing like people like Will Smith and other people getting more into that, and then it slowly like just growing, seeing it more and more, and whether it be athletes, singing artists, all type of things, like seeing that that they would do it or that their parents would do it. So I loved hearing that your mom was on that kick, and I try to do that too. I tell my daughter sometimes, I'm like, you're a wolf. I tell her I get to it like that. Yeah, like we're wolves in this family. You know what I mean?
For
like
sure. I tell my nephew when I train him, I'm like, you're a monster. It's like none of those kids can guard you. And if because I remember like my dad would tell me that, but I didn't really believe it. Mm-hmm. If you can actually believe that, the kids who went further than me believed it.
For sure.
And a lot of times I had more skill than a lot. And I'm not just saying this. I was more athletic than most of the 90% of who I played in high school. I was still extremely athletic in college. I had a lot of skill, but I didn't have a lot of belief. Because when I started second guessing myself, I didn't want to make a mistake so bad, it crippled me. You feel me?
I just had that conversation with Ty Han, the basketball player, when we and him talked.
I love Ty Han.
I just had that conversation with him, telling him that's what a big part of mine was that crippled me in playing basketball and stuff was doubting like, oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna get yanked.
You don't want to mess up.
Yeah.
And there's another kid over here who's taking fadeaways and not shooting a high percentage, but he's eating because now he's got confidence
and because he's doing something. While you're out there just second guessing.
Just passing it. So I had I put my entire life into basketball. I mean, I would work out at 5 a.m. I would always be in the gym. And it was always like he has a lot of potential. Like I did well enough to get a D2 scholarship. So I played well in high school, but in college it was like potential. Ended up starting at the end of my sophomore year, started my junior year, lost the spot my senior year. And just had a very mediocre year. 15 points one game, 2 points. 8 points, 3 points, something like that. And I'm like, I put my life into this. And I was so afraid to make a mistake that it crippled me. And I didn't have any confidence and I wasn't aggressive enough. So I told myself, like, I went into a little bit of depression after that. I told myself, next time I get an opportunity to do anything of any substance, that matters at all, that I love, I'm going to try to knock it out of the park. That's why when I'm in the morning, 5:30, when I have to train somebody, that's what gets me out of bed, because I'm like, my biggest feeling of a loss was regret. Like, I regret that I wasn't aggressive. I regret that I didn't go to the cup when I knew I could have took this dude. Yeah. I regret not taking that open shot. So I'm like, this is a second chance at life for me. You feel me?
For sure.
Basketball is always life, but this is my basketball now, APFit. So I'm like, I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to get people right. I'm going to hit it out the park. So that's how I approach it, and that's how I approach everything in my life now, because, like, it's a second chance.
That's crazy inspiration to me, because a lot of that stuff hits super hard with me. It makes a lot of sense. Like, what do you think it was in us, man? Like, I know it's different for different people, but you're explaining like almost my exact type feelings, and you even did a little bit better with it. You know what I mean? Because you pushed yourself harder and you were working harder. I know with me, that's another factor added that wasn't there. Like, I wasn't in the gym like 5 a.m. like you were and things like that.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the biggest factor crippling me was the anxiety or the worry of like doing something wrong or this and that. Where do you think that comes from, especially from people that seem to have more confidence, or we had confidence in other areas, or that like even with the amount of work you put in, have you been able to pinpoint it at all? Like, man, what was really driving that?
I know what it was for me. I was trying to impress people. Like, I was trying to impress people. And that's never why I played basketball. When I got to college, I was like, yo, I'm trying to impress people. And I was worried about what people were going to say about me. Like, if you're playing a game and you worried about what people are saying after you take a shot, that's not good. You worried, I wonder what these people saying at halftime. I wonder what they're going to talk about at the lunch table. I wonder what, like, you know what I mean? I wonder what the people who are doing the game are saying about me. Like, once you start getting in your head, you can't get out. At the end of the day, you fell in love with basketball because there's freedom in playing basketball, and you love it, and you love moving, you love the expression, the competitive nature. Once you get in your head too deep, it's hard to come out of the head. Look at LeBron when he was going against Dallas. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Like, he was in his head, something crazy. He was worried about what everybody was saying. Definitely not LeBron, but I'm just saying it happens to the best. And I was just extremely insecure, even though I put in the work, put in more work than a lot of people. If you don't have that confidence, that's in anything in life. If you don't believe you can, you won't.
Yeah.
You won't.
That hits hard to hear that from someone like you who also put in the work, because a lot of times from the people who have put in the work, I've heard like, oh yeah, once you put in the work, the confidence is just built in the repetition and this and that and whatever, something. And for you to say you did both to a degree, I mean, like you had those issues, but also put in the work. It's major, and I think a lot of people probably run into that, you know what I mean? And just for us to conversate and kind of connect on it, it makes a lot of sense too. It's like everybody's different, and there's still little factors things that you're thinking about. And the thing that really clicked with me is that for you to say like, once you get in your head, it's like so hard to get out of, because I've noticed like, so when you really are out there on the court killing it or doing whatever somebody does in their lane, but especially in basketball, because I can relate to when I have played or this and that, when you're really killing it, you're really in a flow, it's like you're not thinking about nothing. The last thing you're thinking about is making a mistake or this and that. You're thinking like, oh, this person can't check me, or I'm getting this bucket, or I'm getting an and one, or I'll be at the line regardless. Or
it's like recess.
You're not scoring on me.
And there's no better feeling than that. That's why I fell in love with basketball. Just being in that flow, being in that rhythm, and you know that like regardless of like it's going in.
Yeah, you feel like I can do what I want out here.
You feel like you can.
And the people that really kill and really go to the next level, it seems like they feel that all the time. They feel that in their sleep.
Even if they off.
Yeah, they feel that in their sleep. They feel that when they wake up.
There's a difference thing. You talked about hard work and preparation. That is great, but if you can't get the job done when it matters, there's a lot of practice players. I've seen a lot of kids who are killing in practice, killing in open gym, but if you can't get it done while the lights are on, when it's your moment, even in business, when it's your moment, and you can't get it done, it's not going to matter. You're going to take an L.
It makes a ton of sense. I think for me a little bit, and not to talk too much about myself, I know I've done a ton of that, but I think for me a little bit was like when I first came up, I was playing under my dad as a coach.
Yeah.
So then while I was under him, I was carefree, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he ain't going to yank me. He knows what I do. If I make a mistake, he's going to tell me about it, but I'm still most likely going to be out there doing my thing as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. To where when I started playing under other coaches, then I started worrying too much about like, oh, they're going to critique every little thing. They don't know to what I've done up until this point. They don't care, and all those type of things. Then you just get in your head like, oh man, like, and I even kind of caught it in you a little bit where it's like you kind of think like, if I don't make a mistake, it's like this safety net, you know what I mean? But it's not, because then you get yanked for not doing nothing, you know
exactly,
what I mean?
man.
And I think the reason I like to talk about that, and even on a podcast like this, is because, like you said, it goes into confidence and everything, and it goes into every lane. And I try to take it now. I'm talking through it with you right now to take this as a learning experience, you know what I mean?
For
and
sure.
to learn a little bit about myself and hear how you handled it and stuff as well. Because it's like that confidence factor, if that's so big a part of what you're doing, then I think that's maybe what people need to hear a little bit more of too, and say like, hey, you can do this. We've had multiple people on the podcast, even like one of the Jessica Rainey, the wife, she came on and she was saying how like somebody will ask her, does she do this? Does she act? You know what I mean? Does she model? Whatever, this and that, whatever. And when she was getting into it, she was like, yep, I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah.
And she said it just led to opportunity. It led to her forcing herself to learn the right way to do it or how to go about it. Exactly. Like a lot of things. So I think a lot of times that confidence, and not cockiness to where like
there's a difference.
Yeah, you're stepping outside of yourself, you know what I mean? Getting outside of yourself and getting outside of your lane, but having the confidence in what you know you will put the effort in, or that you have a passion for.
Exactly. And when you were talking about things crippling you almost think it's better if I don't make a mistake, then maybe it won't be a consequence. But like, that's just like in business or with me right now. If I never take that leap and go full time with APFit, that's going to be a regret that I have for the rest of my life. And that's a loss. So if we stay in our comfort zone, somebody's trying to get fit and they stay in their comfort zone, you're going to take a loss because you weren't willing to take that leap of faith, or you weren't willing to take that shot. You weren't willing to talk to that girl that you saw. You know what I mean? It's all about taking that shot. If you don't shoot your shot, you never know.
Yeah, everybody's had a little taste of regret somewhere.
For sure.
That understands like how that hits you. Like
regret is different.
Man, so different. Like Gary Vee talks a lot about that. Like as far as talking, like go talk to some old people. They will tell you like the biggest thing that is still stuck with them that they want to tell other people is like, don't have regrets, man. Like don't not go after something you want. Don't not go after the relationship that you want. Don't work as hard as you think you should with this or with your family. Like, because that it eats at you. It definitely does, man. It's something that when you know you can't change it, but you could have been better.
Exactly.
And especially you had that little voice in your head telling you like, man, you should be doing this.
Exactly.
I feel like we all still have it now, like in a lot of ways.
100%.
I think everybody has to have it a little bit. Maybe somebody ultra, but even like Gary Vee and them, I think they have times where they're still like, man, I should have done this. I could go this way today. I should be doing more or whatever. I still always now I'm like, yeah, I need to be doing more with the podcast. I need to be doing more with this. Yeah. I need to be better about this with my family. I need to be better about this with my relationship. You know what I mean? And that's something that I enjoy, believe it or not. Like,
absolutely.
With the podcast, it's still a little bit new to me, so I'm trying to like talk myself more into stuff with that. But overall, with like the family stuff or the fitness or this and that, I like the idea and the thing that I've kind of talked about here a lot. I try to be a little bit better each day. If I can do a little something of doing like one thing difficult every day that I picked up from the dude David Goggins or things like that. It's like
Goggins,
man, the biggest savage, right?
If I could sit down and talk to anybody.
Really?
That's a rush decision. That's probably not even my real answer. Because it'd probably be like Obama or something. But David Goggins is the savage.
Man,
if you listen to him, you will definitely be convinced that you're lazy.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think some people might take that a negative way, or even just you saying that kind of thing about that, like, well, shit, then why do I want to listen to him or whatever?
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's like he talks about being in those dark places. He talks about being overweight. He talks about living a life he didn't want to live, working a job he didn't want to work, all kinds of different things where it's like, if you really listen to what he's saying, he starts telling you like how I'm just like you.
Exactly.
I've just grinded. I've just put on, he always says like mental calluses, you know what I mean? Like I've just grinded.
And there's no difference. I even tell my clients, I'm just like you. Like it might not appear it, but it hurts. Me doing those squats, it hurts. Doing any reps, like everything hurts. Like it's not like you get to the point where it gets easier, but you definitely get stronger.
Right.
Like it never gets easier, but you get stronger. But like you said, doing something hard every day. Like after hearing him say that, at the end of my session, I always do something crazy like a burnout. Like, all right, we're going to end it with 100 pull-ups, or we're going to end it with 50 reps at squat, or something crazy, or like a bunch of box jumps, just because like, if you can get through that, you can get through anything.
And to let you know, like you thought the tank was empty, but there's really more there. So
Always
now
more.
you know. Like that's something I think a lot of people could really benefit from, that I really benefited from. I think a lot of other people do, is like when you get into that mode of working out and doing those tough things, it's like it starts unlocking stuff in your mind of like, oh, what's really possible, or what I can really do, or how far I can really push myself on a number of different things. And another thing that made me think of when you were saying all that is that, like, I even have brought it up here and talked to other people about it. It's like, once you start doing like hard workouts or consistent hard workouts, things like that, it makes other things in your life easy too, because then you're like, this ain't nothing compared to what I was just doing at the gym last night. Or like, because I've told a lot of people, like, I related to when I first started working out, because somebody asked me to come help them move. And I remember before that was like the run sign to me. Like,
I'm busy.
I'm cool. I'm like, oh man, I wish I could. You know,
now you relish it, bro. Picking that couch up, or grabbing something by yourself. Like, literally, I never thought that would be cool to me, but like, for sure, picking up stuff like, this is what I train for, bro. This is easy. Right. Like, oh, call Austin to move. Now people over calling me to move. And like, nah, man, I don't love it that much. But like, yeah, even just the little stuff, it gives you confidence. Yeah. Like, not just because you look good, but it is true. If you look good, you do feel much better about yourself. But putting that work in makes you feel a sense of fulfillment that you can't get without putting in work. That accomplishment is antidepressant, man. Yeah, bro. I noticed that because that applies to so many things. So like, it doesn't even have to just be about working out. It could be like accomplishing something in your business. It can be like accomplishing something around the house, accomplishing something with a relationship. Like, so I mean, one of the basic things people can like just if someone's not really processing that or thinking that's not real, put it to like mowing the grass or something like that. It's like, you get done, it's mowing the grass, man. It's mowing a lawn. Like, it really don't, on a big picture, what is it really doing, this, that? But you look at it and you're just like, it feels good. Like, you feel like, oh, that looks nice. I did that. Like, it's clean, whatever. Something. Or even if it's not about looking nice, it's like, I got that done. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Because you put it off so long, even though it's something that's not even big, but it becomes bigger because you keep putting it off. And then you have like, if you ever have a checklist, like I do a checklist now, me crossing something off that checklist is like the best feeling in the world, especially if it's something I've been procrastinating. So I try to make a daily checklist, literally, and write it out. I don't even put it in my phone anymore. Write it out, cross it off when I get done, and try to kill every day. Because every day matters, especially if you're trying to run a business or do anything of worth. Every single day matters. That makes a ton of sense, man. I'm going to take that hard on. Like, I'm going to take that and run with it, because it makes me think, like, I was just talking a little bit about it with Eddie and saying how, like, I'll say something like I do something difficult every day, getting it from Goggins, whatever, where Eddie will have this list. He has a power list. Yeah, he's like doing multiple things per day. And I'm like, they don't and he's like, yeah, but some of them aren't hard. I'm like, man, if you're getting stuff done, you're getting stuff done. Because one of those things is hard, and then you're doing a bunch of other things that I'm not doing too. Exactly. So I need to step my game up. His power list game is crazy. And then he puts it all on his walls, like, like giving himself accountability. Like, it's like, it's a win or a loss. Right. Yeah. You can see, you looking at the score. Is a loss. Yeah, exactly. You like, I can't take any more losses. Like, I gotta get some W's. Yeah, I think I definitely have to apply that to my life and to my business and everything. It's like, list. It's like, I need to see, like, hold on, man. You might feel comfortable because you did something one day or whatever, but you just also had 6 other days that technically are kind of losses. So what'd you really do? What'd you really do? Exactly. Because I'll do a podcast, you know what I mean? And like, oh man, like, if I don't do nothing else this week, like, I got a podcast in. Like, I got a podcast. I got it in. Like, we knocked out an episode at least for this week, and now I'm thinking about, like, man, that's also means there's 6 days I didn't do one. Exactly. That's true. That's crazy, man. I definitely, it helps me change my mindset. But something else I want to talk to you about that I see in you, and this is something that I really, really appreciate in you, and this is something that is one of my favorite things about actually meeting you and talking to you and bringing on here, as opposed to just seeing who you are on social and things like that, is, so my favorite thing I've heard from you today is like accountability. And like, so when you start talking about things, even when you were talking about things in faith, you still were like, well, I've already been given the tools. I comes up a lot. Yes. You know what I mean? So like, you're taking that ownership and you're taking that responsibility. And that's something that I think is big and something that's underused and underdone in today's society. You know what I mean? Big like time. Take it on yourself. Personal. Like, yeah. Like I always tell people, the good, the bad, the whatever that happens to me, it's my fault. It's my fault. Like, I have no sense of entitlement at all. I don't think somebody should support me just because they're my friend. I don't think you should work out with me because you think I'm cool. I want you to come because I have a great product that can help you. So I don't even hold accountability to like family that won't support or family that won't buy no merch. Maybe it wasn't fly. Like maybe they didn't like it. Like, no, I have no sense of entitlement. Like, I really think that everything in life you gotta work for and you gotta hustle and muscle because nobody owes you anything out here.
Yeah,
like nobody owes you anything. So if you don't hold yourself personally accountable for what happens in your life and you keep blaming people, you're always gonna be a victim. And there's people who are victims who make excuses and stay where they are. But at the end of the day, it hurts to hear, but like nobody cares, bro. At the end of the day, even if you have a hard life, even if you've gone through the most traumatic life, like people care, but nobody actually does because at the end of the day, especially if you're in business or just in life, life goes on. And there's stuff you got to do. You got to take care of your family. You got to take care of this. Like your daughter don't care if you don't feel good, but you still got to provide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, people don't care. You have to deliver what you have to deliver. So you got to hold yourself accountable for it.
Yeah, and I love how you said it too. Like, it's not to say that people are heartless or anything like that.
Exactly.
It's to say that they have their own stuff going on.
Everybody
you know what I mean?
does.
They have their own stuff going on, and they care enough to like, as far as like how it relates to them, or how they might. In some ways, some people, there are some genuine good people that may want to help a little bit, and have a little empathy or whatever. But they just got their own thing, and they're going to care for a small period of time. But the one who has to care is you. The one who has to care and has to apply to things like who really has to be like making the changes or doing what it takes to change the problems in your life, or the things that you feel like aren't going your way. It's you. It's you. It has to be you. You know what I mean? It has to be, this is me. There's something that I can do. There's some way I can go a different route about it. Like anything with this podcast, anything, like not if a certain episode doesn't hit a certain way, if this happens, I'm like, that's my fault. That's my fault. It's not like, it's not because of the guest. It's not because of the time of day we put it out. It's not because of this. It's like, maybe those things are factors, but I could be doing more in these other lanes to make more happen.
And that's why you keep growing. Like, I think a big part of being successful in life in general is taking that self-inventory. Being honest about yourself, even though it hurts. You might have to ask somebody because like certain people will be honest with you and get a real glimpse of like what you're actually like. Like, what are my actual strengths? What am I not great at? And certain times, like for me now, the things I'm not great at, there's people around me who are great at. Like, I am not very organized. I don't keep track of dates well, anything like that. But I'm a dreamer. I'm an amazing trainer. I'm an amazing motivator. But these people, these are the organized, detail-oriented, responsible people. They're going to handle some of the paperwork. They're going to handle a little bit of that. But I'm honest with myself and what I can do. But also it helps me realize, especially my job now, my 9 to 5, that these are things you have to get better at or you won't be successful. You know what I mean? So daily disciplines. But yeah, taking that self-inventory and being like, yo, what am I lousy at? Like, what do I suck at? When do I get offended? Like, why am I mad? Why am I jealous? Why do I act like this in certain situations? It sucks, but it's real.
Yeah, man. That you saying that, like, that's exactly what I think was like the main switch in my life to where I got to the point where I completely felt happy.
Yeah.
Like real legit happiness where I can talk to people and like tell them like, no, you don't understand. Regardless of what's going on in my life right now, like, no, I'm happy. Like,
and that's the goal.
Yeah, because I can tell them like, you don't understand that even when something crazy does go down or whatever, or something bad does happen, I'm like, that's on me.
Yeah.
That's on me. Like, it's crazy. Like, for some people, they're like, nah, but what if it's this? No, you don't understand. Like, I really do believe and think that it's me. Like, some way, somehow, there was something in the past or something. Yeah, man, that I could have played this situation different. I could have said something different. I could have worked harder. I could have done this. Like, it's me. It's me. So with it being on me, it's like when something does happen, I'm not like, man, can't believe they treated me like this. I can't believe this happened to me.
Let you down.
God, why me? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, even in some of the situations now, like even I think a common thing for all of us, like if you're in some kind of crazy pain or you're really sick or something like that, that's when it's really hard. That's when it really hits you and it's hard. Like you are kind of like, you lean towards like, man, why me or why now or what did I do or whatever, something. But I've even started to pick up on like trying to get myself in those moments too of like, man, you didn't eat the greatest recently. You didn't do this, like this, and that, or like
own it.
You might have hurt this, you know what I mean, playing ball or doing this or whatever, you could have been working out the core a little bit more. You could have been doing this. Like, I'm always like, man, and even if I don't think of something, I'm like, there's probably something I'm not thinking of that I could have,
and
done.
That's where you get to the point where you're successful, because you own everything. You have no sense of entitlement. Nobody owes you anything, so it's just on you.
And I think
it is your life,
right? And I think even successful in life, not even as opposed to so much in business.
Monetary value.
Yeah, successful in life, successful in being happy, man. And like you said, I think that's the ultimate goal.
And I switched my motive, because I'm very big on success and achievement, and it would get to the point where I wouldn't celebrate this success because I'm thinking of what's next, which is great for a winner. But for you as a person, you can be unsettled because you're never happy.
You never get to appreciate the wins.
Which is great over here, but it's bad over here, because if you don't appreciate those wins or don't appreciate when you have something great, you're never going to be happy, because you're always chasing what's next. You get to the point where now you're a millionaire. What's next? Because this person has 10 million. Okay, what's next? And you never really get to enjoy it. And then you're never really happy. So I switched my focus. Like, my number one goal now is to have a great family, wife, kids, and be a great father, be a great husband, and a great person. That's number one on my list now. And then the other stuff at APFit and everything else comes second, because I think that's the way to true happiness. You know what I mean?
I think you're right, man. I think you're right. And it's good to hear that kind of insight from a younger dude like yourself, because a lot of the people that I brought on here, I see that even whether it be through their social or through the way they talk once they come on, it's like the money and the business and that is like a driving factor and motivation for them. But I can see it, I can hear it, I can see in how they conduct themselves in their walk and everything, like that. What they really want is that content, happiness. You know what I mean? Of like being proud of themselves, their family, their life, being able to enjoy it. And I think that's another thing that's coming more and more in these younger generations, which is cool too, of like not wanting to work so much that we don't get to enjoy anything.
Exactly. Because if you're all one thing, you can't be there for them. And even when I'm working, I'm thinking like, I'm working for my future family. I'm trying to make sure we're good, making sure we're straight, making sure I can give my nephew's like, when you're really old, can I have APFit and be the trainer? I'm like, absolutely. Right. We're gonna build this up so it can be generational wealth. You know what I mean? So even when I'm working hard, I'm thinking about my family, like my future family and everything like that. So I think being happy at the end of the day, no matter what the scale says, no matter what size we are, no matter how much we can bench or anything like that, if you're happy and content, then you'll be good. Everything else will take care of itself.
It makes me think too with you, man, like I can't wait to see where things go for you once you do have kids, because that motivation is just going to be amplified. Like,
oh yeah,
you will get more of the side of it, like of wanting to spend the time and wanting to be a good parent and all that. But it's like, it's crazy how your mind shift is once you have a kid. Like
it's not just about you.
Yeah. And even though it's not even just about you right now, you said for you, because some people it is, some people it isn't. It's good to hear you say that. But at the same time, it's like you just act differently, man. You just handle yourself differently, because it's more like, because you got more on your back, basically. You know what I mean?
That's true.
It's like you're going to push up harder on a squat when there's more on your back. It's the same type of thing. You know what I mean? Like you're going to push harder when there's more on your back. And I can't wait to see what it means for you going forward in the future, man. And,
I'm excited. I ain't rushing, but I'm definitely not rushing.
I like it. So also something that's an interest to me, and I'm sure to other people that have their own thing, whatever, before we get out of here too, is like, so you mentioned the merch.
Yeah.
And so how did you kind of go about that? How has that evolved? To just give me a brief explanation of like, so where did you start with it, or and how and who produces it? You know what I mean? That type of thing.
Yeah. So I always grew up just loving clothes. My brother and I, when we were young, we were very Kanye West influenced. so we developed what we thought was our own style, but we developed like style is what we call, not at an early age. And I think for one, it's a great feeling seeing somebody walking around with your merch on, because like, not just because like, oh, that's me, but what it represents. You know what I mean? So we started off with just like some generic, terrible quality APFit shirts with a dumbbell underneath. And we sold those, and people did it for support, you know, which was cool. But I was like, next, let's do something of good quality that people will actually want that don't even know what APFit is. So our next launch was like it says Flex Your Faith shirts. And people were ordering that who had no idea what APFit was. And I was like, that's exactly what we want. So I do like some exclusive like pieces for some of my clients as well. But yeah, I love the merch. We're actually interviewing a new vendor right now. But it's not just another source of income, but it's artistry. You know, you get to get really creative with it. My brother does most of the logos. So it's a great way to bring everything in together. And I love like looking pristine, like not just me, but like my squad. Like I'm kind of OCD. Like if the lines aren't straight, let's get the lines right. Like not like military style, but like low key, like we're going to make sure that we are well represented. We look good. We work very, very hard. So I love them coming in with the merch and coming in looking like a team, looking united. Like, cause like basketball is my background. So right. I want us all looking like a squad. So I love it.
Yeah. And that cleanliness and all that, like, just to even put out a good product.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like at any time.
Yeah.
Of like what it's going to look like in a picture or video. When everybody looks around and just feels that team and that connection of we're all in line and stuff. That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and then like, where'd you get that? What's that? You know, and it's a walking billboard. You know what I mean?
For sure. Do you have it all done by one vendor that you go through that provides the clothing and does the logos and stuff on there for you, or you do it separately?
So now we do, but I still steer away from that because like I got this from Amazon and then we had it screen printed. There's a lot of pieces like the big piece for the girls was like crop top hoodie. So we got those we literally like got the first batch from Forever 21. Like they had a crazy sale. So we got them for Forever 21, took it to a screen printer. Then we got more from Amazon and things like that. So a lot of our merch was like on some like guerrilla stuff, you know what I mean? But before that, we used like custom ink, you know, and things like that. But we have a new merch vendor that will be all inclusive. Like, so for the water bottles, for the towels, and for the hoodies and everything, one-stop shop, which in the long-term game will make it more cost-effective. And you can just call one person for sure. Like, you don't have to deal with all these different people and blah, blah, blah. Makes
sense. Makes a ton of sense. I mean, anything you can streamline and make it a little bit easier on your time, especially with the way you say your time is getting stretched so thin now.
Crazy. And somebody you can trust, somebody you can hit up. And I'm excited for it because we're definitely, we're dropping some fall merch. That should be dope.
Yeah, and it's dope to see you. Like, I think that's super dope, the shirt that you're wearing and stuff.
Thanks, bro. We're going to get you one.
I appreciate it, man. I always tell people, too, just like my dude that I had on that does 270 hoops, I'm like, man, I'll pay, too. Like, you don't have to.
Sure.
I always like to feel like I'm not asking for any handout. Like you said, I'm like one of those type of people, too, man. I don't want to ask people for any type of handout or expect that someone thinks, hey, I'm coming at it in that any type of way like that.
Because you understand everything costs money. And I definitely show love, you know.
Yeah.
And even being on the podcast, man, I feel blessed because there's a lot of people on the podcast that, you know, I either was inspired by or looked up to or didn't even know, then watched this podcast and I'm like, oh, that's really dope. Like the dude from the Pac games and all that. People that I've known and things like that. So it's definitely a blessing to be here, man.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it like crazy. So what's the next big thing for AP, or what's the end goal, man? Or either the end game or like the next big move or something that is on your mind?
Yeah, so the next big thing is like, so we have a regional youth rally that we're doing on Friday, which should be big, which is going to open doors to a international youth rally, hopefully. It's the same people run it. So that's going to be huge exposure for us with the Faith and Fitness. So we have Faith and Fitness is the biggest thing right now, but we're establishing a foundation for our boot camps. You know what I mean? PT is always kind of a separate thing, but for the boot camps, we're really building it up. And, you know, the end game is definitely to have a gym and to have multiple gyms. You know, I have online clients and different things like that. So we know people in a lot of different places. And I think even just by us traveling, every time we travel somewhere, they're like, oh, can you come back? Can you blah, 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 and all that. So my dream is to have multiple gyms and being able to inspire people everywhere through Faith and Fitness. And one of my bigger dreams is just connecting good people together, bringing people together. I love Fit Camp because it's multiracial, a lot of different people from different backgrounds coming together on faith and fitness. So my biggest goal is obviously to have multiple gyms, but just to inspire people that, like, if you have a dream, it can come true. You're going to have to work, and it's going to suck sometimes, but like, if you keep grinding, it can 100% happen to you. And I feel things kind of ramping up for us. So I'm really excited about it.
I do too, man. I do too. And just from watching you or watching how you guys move on social media and the size of some of the boot camp classes and all that type of thing. I mean, you can see that the attention is there.
It's fun,
and
man.
Yeah. And I think with you traveling and getting people involved from other states and things like that, have you been like diving more into like, man, how can I train them from a distance or latch on to making better money moves with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I definitely push when we go is my online clients. It's not the personal touch, but you're getting the same exact workouts. You're getting accountability calls, and you're getting 100% access to me with any question that you have. And they're not just like, here's a workout. We got videos and everything like that to demonstrate for people. So that's going to be a big driver of, I don't have to be there, but I can still help you. Also, what I want to do is establish like campuses. So, give a group from a church or organization, send them the workout, have them do it, 3 times a month, or once a week, and then have me come down maybe once a month to do another big boot camp class and inspire them. But just to have established different, different contacts in different states so they can have their own APFit in different places. So that's definitely a goal of mine,
That's real dope, man. I love hearing that. And even with you talking about like reaching out and how you can connect with them, something that I've seen even lately too is like, I think's real cool is when the people do like direct videos of like reaching out to whether it be a client or a potential client and saying like, hey, so-and-so, and they see that you're talking to them directly.
Yeah.
I've had a few people do that with me lately.
That's
and then I've seen people talk about that. And then even for you to talk a minute ago about like how you love bringing good people together.
Yes.
Like that's been one of my favorite things about this podcast that like I didn't totally know that from the jump, but then as like I started like going through of like who I wanted to bring on and who I do kind of like approve coming on and stuff to agree or whatever. Yeah. It's been like I like bringing on good people, and then it's kind of like in a way I think with some people it's starting to create a little bit of fraternity with it, and I like to eventually do like some kind of events or something with a number of different people that I just come and like moderate or host or something like that.
Like a panel, it would be lit. I think putting positive people together can do a lot, not just for you but for them. You have no idea who's going to become friends, and you have no idea who can connect on the business end. You have no idea. So my boot camps, I love group fitness because like people who came in not knowing each other, now they're friends. And you're friends with somebody who's a positive person. Because if you come to my boot camp, 9 times out of 10, the positivity is just going to exude on you. You're just going to be different. Like you're not the same person anymore when you're a part of APFit. So we bring positive people together, and why not have positive friends? Too many people have gossiping friends, or friends who are jealous of them, or friends who are lazy, or friends who like low-key secretly want to hold them back. But when you have those positive connections, your life can take off because like you are the sum total of the people who are around you. So I love bringing positive, like-minded people together just to collab. And a lot of times we're not in an atmosphere that's full of love. Right. Like if we work a 9 to 5, like it's not full of love. You can go somewhere where you're loved and you can feel encouragement, you can feel energy. That's what I try to do. I try to give people a great experience, not just the workout. Obviously, you're going to work out, but just a great experience of love, encouragement, and some accountability too.
That's dope, man. Like that's one of the biggest things I've seen in Marcus Rainey.
Yeah. Is
like he epitomizes that, like bringing a group together.
Chill,
and bringing a group together and bringing people together from different angles and like and just infusing it with positivity and connections and making new friendships and new business connections and things like that. Like, have you been up to the spot?
Yeah, definitely been up to the Flex and Chill spot. I think we've been up twice. I had one of the APFit workouts up there.
Okay, that's dope.
So it was awesome bringing them there too. And they've been to my boot camp. as well to spread a lot of positivity and love. They're great people, great.
It's contagious from them.
It
Man.
is 100%. It's contagious, and that's something that I love to do too. My schedule's so crazy that I can't go up there as much as I want to, obviously, because if I'm not training, I'm working. If I'm not working, I'm at church. If I'm not at church, I'm working out. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
for sure.
yeah, it's all love. I love what they're doing there at the Flex and Chill.
Yeah, man, it's real dope. It's real dope anytime you can see, like you said, the type of connections and the things that lead to other things off the right things. You know what I mean? Off
Genuine connection. A lot of people will hit you, or a lot of people will hit me on some just like, let's advance or let's do something like that. But not a lot of people just want to chop it up or see how you're doing. You know what I mean? Every time I talk to Marcus the first time or talk to anybody super positive that I know, they're like, how are you doing? You know what I mean? Not just, I saw the boot camp. A lot of people were there. Let me go in. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, how are you doing? How's your life? How's your family? Blah, blah, blah. Genuine connections. That's
yeah. And especially when you hear it and see it, where it's like, oh, they're not just asking to get to the next question. They really listen to what you say, and then they respond to what you say about like, oh yeah, maybe I can help you out with that, or this and that. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's always cool to see, and I get that vibe from you too as well, man. And that's something else that I've liked about this and the people I brought is it creates friendship
for sure
through this conversation. Because I think when we get these real conversations too, where we talk a little bit about ourselves, our business life, everything, it's like, it really feels like you start to get to know people. You know what I mean? And I also hope that that's what the listeners and the fans or whatever that listen to these episodes, the podcast, people that follow you, want to follow you now after hearing you on here, is that's what they pick up, is that they can really feel like they know you a little bit, you know what I mean? At least a little bit better, or get a sense of who you are.
For sure, definitely _APFit on Instagram. No, but seriously.
No, seriously, that's exactly, that was going to be one of my next things. Shout it out, tell people where to find you.
Yeah. _APFit on Instagram, Austin Parker on Facebook, and if you watch my stories, man, it's a lot of motivation, a lot of people working out, a lot of tips, everything like that. There's a lot of craziness sometimes on Instagram. I think it's important to control your feed. If you follow the right people, like Aaron as well, like you're going to get some great content that's going to inspire you for the week, for the month, every single day. So it's real. Your mental diet, man, your emotional diet is big, just as big as everything else, man. Huge, man. One quick thing, like when you say your mental diet, it's about not just like your diet. Some people think it's just about what you eat. It's what you take in. Today, I had like a million things to do. You know what I mean? And I knew it was going to be a rough day. I played a song by Greg Cox, and it said, a good day. And he's just going to say, like, he just says, I can feel it in the air. It's going to be a good day. I put it on, like, repeat, trying to tell myself, like, this is going to be an amazing day. And it was. It literally was an amazing day. I had a lot to do, but I got it done. But that mental diet is huge, man. Yeah, I hope somebody takes that and runs with it, what you just said. I really do, like, because that goes right into, like, what we said, power of the tongue, all that. It's like, talk it into existence, make it happen. Even if it's not that what you think it is. Like I said, I always tell people too that it's not a bad day, it's not a bad week, like it's a bad moment. It's not over. One moment can't define your day, one moment can't define your week or your life. It's one bad moment, and you have a lot more. Yeah, and we do too. I think that's maybe what I need to put out more of too. Is like, man, we have those times too. We get hit with hard stuff too. Even though we preach a lot of talking a lot of motivational stuff, rah, all that, whatever. We go through those tough times too, or whatever. I'm going through a storm right now, but I'm still motivating people because that's what I'm supposed to do. And somebody needs it the way I need it. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I think when you get to see it helping someone, that helps you out of your thing. Yeah, man. I love that you came on, man. Like I said, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, and to see and to get to know you more on a personal level, and to see that accountability. That's that thing that hit hard with me over anything. Yeah. Like when I see that from someone, that really, really lets me know about their character. That really makes me understand a little bit more about you and why you are where you're at and why you will be where you're gonna go. Absolutely. I love it, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you, man. All love. Yes, sir.